Okay, okay. Recording has started, but not by Mohammed Abdulaziz Saad. Mr. Mohammed, are you starting to record? Mr. Mohammed,
Doctor, I have tried to record from my side and it works.
because I do not have the function of recording. I'm just surprised that you do have.
Yes, I see it in my in the settings. So I started with the record. If we restart it again,
No, it's fine. But in that case, Mr. Mohammed, you will be in charge of submitting for me the link for the recording. So I will be making it available for the rest of the people. Is that okay for you?
yes, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, Maha, I guess I will just ask Mr. Mohammed to share with me the recording. But I don't have such a function. I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't think Pansy is online. Yes. I cannot record. Mr. Mohammed started recording. Okay. All right. Okay. Mish. All right. Thank you, Maha. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. I guess we shall start, right? Those people who are online, you can see the shared screens, huh?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. First of all, I sent you already the PowerPoints together with the new syllabus revised after one of your colleagues had contacted me on behalf of 10 people. You contacted, okay. So we agreed that instead of you doing homework, since you are too bothered of homeworks and quizzes, although for me, when I am studying at PhD while a master's, I always like this whole feeling of getting back to school, of actually doing something on the weekly basis, especially that, usually in Egypt, people in general, professionals, when students, they do not like to do so much. And most of the time, we are speaking about students trying to get as less weights of assessments and as much grades out. The best case scenario is final project and no final exam, and that's it. Attendance and the final project. Worth 60% of the grade. لا الكاميرا
لا
اوكي مش ما فيش
دي هتبقى هنا
آه.
وعلى حضرتك
لا الكاميرا اهو
دي انت حضرتك حطها هنا ثبتها على حضرتك لو هنشيل المنظر ده هنشغل دي هتبقى برضه على حضرتك
انا مش عارفه زي اتنين شغالين
لا احنا هنشغل دي واحده ونشغل واحده
اكيد اللي شغال دي ما عرفتش تشتغل.
لا احنا شغلنا دي بس احنا قلنا عشان دي تبقى حاجه
So therefore we decided that you still have the 10% for attendance and participation, and mainly it will be judged, well, 5 marks will be assigning for attendance based on your online as well as in class, as well as 5 marks will be assigning for your activity conditions during the class, where in pairs or in groups of 3 you will be doing something. And the decision was that all of those activities are pretty much going to be aiming at preparing you for the content of the final exam. The assignments, which we will be having, we decided on 3. One assignment is going to be given to you today. The completion is expected next week. I was actually looking through all of the alternative assignments. I selected the one that is the easiest one because it can be graded out of 10. The rest of the 2 assignments will be a little bit more serious case studies with Excel sheet provided and stuff like that, where hands-on experience in actually allocating the cost or deciding about different types of the cost method in perspective of the decision making. Also, one of the documents that I sent you together with the package of today's lecture is the cost discussion based on different types of the cost allocation in addition to whatever I'm going to discuss today. which I believe is going to be interesting to you to read in order for us to discuss it in the next lecture. So all of those extra cases that I'm going to be submitting, which is not requiring you to actually do something, but pretty much refer to that and participate in the discussions which will usually take place in the beginning of the lecture, just as waiting for the rest of the people to come as it is today. As well as giving to you some point of getting yourself a participation point. Obviously, it will be easier to get a participation point if you're in class, because I'm actually seeing what you're doing. However, those people who are online, you are already having your exercise sheet for today's class. You might as well try to solve something, especially that we'll be solving it together. Try to send it to me, to the WhatsApp personally, to show that you are actually going with us with the flow and participating in the discussion. No problem. So today our goal is actually 2 chapters. The first one is mainly overviewing all types of the cost classification methods for us to be able to understand why is it necessary for the managers to go this extra line, extra mile in order to allocate the cost. As well as chapter 2 is already getting more into the so-called ERP system, beginning whenever the company example will be discussed to show to you how the job-based costing is aiming the managers to allocate the calculations of the cost in order to make sure that by the end of the year, everything is accounted for and all of the checks and balances are made. So to start with, we already spent some time in discussing the financial accounting. And if you remember, our main discussion points there was to try to understand how the company is dealing with the cost structures from the perspective of external reporting. Because every single company, it doesn't matter, privately held, publicly held, at least for the tax purposes, need to report information for the government, for payment of the taxes for some certain accountant, especially whenever they want to attract some outside investments. And auditors might be interested in validate whatever is reported. Therefore, when we're dealing with financial accounting, it's more for financial purposes to make a decision what is the company doing in regards of its profit, expenses, and stuff like that. With the managerial accounting, it's more internal use. And this is wherever you'll find out it's a little bit more complicated, because every single company obviously will be making decisions about which kind of cost to account for, depending on what are they interested in measuring. Because the main purpose of managerial accounting and this extra layer of the job that accountants are going through is in order to understand what's happening now, to analyze based on the current situation what might be working, what might not, and the performance of the company over the last period, as well as to plan. And by the end of the day, after the planning is completed and actual information is coming due, we will be capable to do the variance analysis to understand where did we fall short and what was the reason for us falling short in order not to make the same mistakes again. And therefore, throughout the whole course, we'll be working through all of this process. And of course, in order for us to be able to, first of all, understand what is the situation now, one of the first burdensome is to allocate appropriately the cost depending on the need of the company. This is wherever chapter 1 is coming. Chapter 2 is more or less going into different types of the job cost allocation that the companies are going through. Of course, chapter 2 is more or less related to manufacturing companies because they are the ones which are having direct material and direct labor costs associated with every single item, are more visible rather than service companies. But service companies, which are representing around 70% of contribution to the economy, is mostly whatever you are working at. So we will be definitely going to understanding what is happening in the service-related companies and the relationship to the costs allocation and decision making. Then somewhere in the middle, couple of weeks into the classes, we will be dealing with the master budgeting, preparing the plans for the manufacturing companies as well as service companies, and after that doing so-called variance analysis. This is going to be our journey, and by the end of the day, of course, since it's accounting, it's acknowledging that there are a lot of information to be asked from you from the computational perspective. But good news is that since it's accounting, we're not expecting, like statistical, linear regressions and so all log linear regressions, coefficients. No, it's a little bit more to the point. So most of the calculations is going to be something multiplied by something, adding to something, but you of course need to know what to add, what to subtract, and a lot of those formulas will be introduced today. So this is our differences between managerial and financial accounting. When we are dealing with the cost classifications, most of the time companies are different in regard to accounting for the cost, depending again on their needs. Some of the companies need to clearly identify what kind of costs related to inputs. As I already said before, it is related to manufacturing companies. Some of the times we need to understand what is happening with my total manufacturing costs. And the problem is that there are some different manufacturing costs. Some of them are easily identifiable, some of them are not. So how to deal with that classification? Sometimes we are in need of rearranging whatever we are doing in regard to our cost classification for internal purposes in order to make sense for the external analysis. So the same type of the costs need to be redistributed in order to prepare financial statement, balance sheet, income statement, and stuff like this. So we'll see today how some of those internal costs will be grouped together in a different manner in order to make sense for the outside inspection. As well as sometimes we are in need of classifying different types of costs when we are having planning in mind, when we are preparing master budgets, so the different costs are going to be reallocated differently. I mean, the same names remain, but it's just putting them together into the sheet in order to make sense for the planning purposes will be done a little bit differently. Of course, whatever I'm talking about is more or less hands-on data. But nowadays, thanks God, the companies are employing a lot of IT and the ERP systems provided by Oracle solutions and stuff like this, which is pretty much working with every company on an individual basis, creating a software which is automatically allocating those different cost categories based on the manager's choice. So after that, it's going to become as easy as entering the data into computer interface. Computer is combining all of those chunks of data and preparing the reports for different types of the managerial purposes. So most of the things that I'm going to be talking about here, it's more qualitative decision based on the manager's desire. Then it is communicated to the system analyst who is preparing the computer interface. Yes.
You're correct about the systems and the ERPs. I mean, not all companies can work with the system, especially small companies, projects,
Yes.
startups.
In that case, they are doing it in hand, yes. But where we are moving toward is definitely more or less digital approach in order to get the data, because even if the companies do not have the money right now, in order to invest into creating of ERP system, they will be forced to do that one way or another. It's just, it's all about competition. Yes, it's a matter of time. Nowadays,
Small companies?
yes, even the small companies. Nowadays, there is clear advantages of having digital system whenever you are applying for the bank loan. If you do not have the clear track record about your financial statements, the banks will be just basically saying to you, Salam, go ahead and find another sources for tax purposes as well. Yes, every single company.
And the new taxation system, it's only online.
Yes.
Not that I'm not that expensive. All
Yes.
all that stuff uploaded on the system.
Mhm.
All the taxes.
Companies are only buying it.
Even invoice. It's all uploaded on the system.
Oh,
We are forcing all the invoices, everything is on. When I'm speaking about small companies.
Because
It's not anymore.
for example, if you will go. If we're speaking about the small mom and pop shops like supermarkets and stuff like this, obviously they will be having no grand plans of expanding and stuff like this. They may still the same. However, very soon the government will come back and will start to check whether you have a license or not. In order for you to have a license, you need to automatically have the track record of your tax payment. And definitely in that case, you will need, even if it is 5,000 per month, you will actually have to.
Standards, all of the kind of system.
Yes, yes, yes. Most of the solutions available for the micro businesses provided by fintechs right now, but even fintechs, whenever they are providing for you opportunity to get a loan, they are giving to you where you need to supply the data. So without information, I cannot make a decision. This is 100% throughout the globe right now. So if the company is not there yet, definitely it will be forced to be there one way or another within the 5-year plan. That's wherever all of the governments are going. The final thing why the companies are making different classifications in a different manner and related into the cost structure as mainly for the decision making. So one companies might be in need to allocate different more categories of the cost than other companies, not because they want to be different, but because the managers probably require some other approach into cost classification. And this is wherever the non-standardized approach are existing. Whenever the company is creating some tailor-made solution in order for accounting appropriately for their cost. And we will be trying to understand what types of the general solutions are available. The first objective of our today's class is to understand how the cost structures are going to be different when we are looking into classification of direct and indirect cost. Most probably you already have seen the distinction between direct and indirect, right, before. What they think is the difference between direct cost and indirect cost.
Direct cost. Okay. We will reflect directly about service and sales.
Okay, for example. Okay.
I think that is indirect.
Direct, or in case it depends. If I am dealing with teaching the students and managers, I will be direct. However, if the manager of accounting is going to be having his salary, his cost will be indirect.
Yes.
Because I am generating an income directly related to teaching students. However, without accountants, we will not be able to survive in general. And those people are receiving the salary for the entire organization.
Sales, if you have sales team, direct.
Direct related to if you can assign some certain sales specialists selling some specific item, in that case it will be direct. But if there is a manager of the sales team, he is not direct, he will be indirect. Exactly.
Marketing team indirect.
But again, it depends. Marketing team for product one, it will be direct. Marketing team for products A, B, C, D, it will be indirect. So depending on which perspective we are looking for, and if there is a connection or tie from the actions of that particular individual or the raw material in relationship to the unit cost item, in that case it will be direct. For example, I might be assembling those chairs, okay? I would be definitely counting all of those wood used in order to make every individual part as direct cost of different material. However, I might be using some certain amount of glue in order to put some of the items together. I cannot really allocate how much grams of glue I'm using in order to assemble one chair. In that case, the glue item is going to be indirect cost because I cannot 100% tie it to an individual chair. Of course, you would argue that nowadays, depending on what kind of technology the company is using, if it is created by machine, machine knows exactly how much grams of glue is going to be allocated for every chair. In that case, you are moving the category of the direct cost into indirect. Of indirect cost into direct. Which is making it, in fact, more easy to allocate and as a result to account. Because the whole problem area in our whole time is into direct and indirect. It's about when I'm putting something in indirect category, this is the chunk of the very big question marks. Where is this amount is going through? And this is the main chunk of the misbehavior of the management, because since there is no 100% accountability of how much glue is used for every single chair, I might as well claim any kind of number of kilos that was used in order to assign those.
Sorry, machine depreciation.
Machine depreciation is.
Input
Yes.
machines, we allocate the depreciation on all products.
Well,
But new machines depreciated by unit.
unit, exactly.
So we can allocate per unit in the.
So it will become direct.
Direct.
Okay.
And direct in old model, direct in model.
Yeah.
Machine management, it's like lifetime. We depreciate by lifetime, but will be allocated generally. But new machines, depreciation by per units.
Period. You
Like
can
production,
you can
for million,
period.
yeah, like the production 4 million units. Plus you can allocate.
You can say if you can measure it,
Mhm.
it will be direct cost. You
Yes,
cannot measure it.
if you can track. No, it's not about if you can track that unit, the use of the item, labor, or material to the any product, it's direct. And this is where we are aiming to in absolute terms, to make all of the costs direct, because in that case, if you think about it, if we have such an advantage, we will be capable to make better decisions about, for example, instead of having two accountants working for the company, one of them is basically not contributing as much, I would be probably making decision of firing the person because there is no direct contribution to something that is created in that company. So unfortunately, until now, the dark pool still exists. So therefore, we are still using the direct cost, indirect cost, and there is also something called common cost, which is quite often depends on the perspective, as I was already explaining. Like, for example, when I am producing the, I don't know, chairs, the person who is assembling the chair is going to be direct. The manager of that team is going to be indirect. However, if I'm going to be looking at the departments, like for example, our entire department is creating chairs of the model A. In that case, if the department is the unit of accounts, in that case, management team is going to be direct cost to that department. So it all depends on perspective.
Manufacturing company, we are considering the whole team and as direct cost.
Okay.
In a
For that,
assembly line.
yes. Whenever we are dealing with a department as being our unit of measurement, in that case, yes, it's going to be direct. And most of the time, the companies are shifting, in between what would be considered our unit of account. Is it based on the product? Is it based on department? Or is it based on activity? Because one department can be performing more than one activity. So if I'm going to be looking at my activity as being unit of account, maybe the direct costs are going to be much more, because every single department will be performing more functions at any point of time. So this is wherever the confusion might be. You might be speaking to your colleague at the workplace about the same thing, but because of the perspective of accounting for the cost allocation, you might be referring to something direct, whenever for another colleague it might be indirect cost. So direct and indirect, clear, huh? Yes.
We can say that direct, which is related to a specific product,
Yes.
which is assigned to a specific team or cost. The cost which is specified to a specific product. It's a direct.
True, but it's not only per product. Sometimes we are accounting for the, for example, team. As in a business school, it's a department. For the business school, the marketing professional who is working at the now university, it will be and working specifically for the business school. That will be direct cost of the business school. Maybe for the entire university, it's indirect, because that person does not really contribute to the entire now university market.
Yeah, but at the time, the product is a business school.
Exactly, yes, yes. Okay, so no confusion here, right?
Doctor, there is someone.
Yes. In the,
Perhaps.
mashallah, you already knowing based on color of the hand ولا ايه يعني؟
My screen.
It's in your screen. Yes, yes, Mr. Ahmed.
Sorry, doctor. So let's say if we can classify the manufacturing overhead for any
Yes.
product, we can consider it as a direct cost.
If we can, specifically for, and this is where the measurements of the and trackability of the manufacturing overhead is letting us to move one cost from one category to another. So for instance, if previously I would be having my electricity bill, which is working for the entire business school, okay? In that case, it's going to be indirect cost. However, if I would put the measurement for the electricity in every single room and will be able to track every single room electrical charge per hour, in that case, it will become direct cost, okay?
So it means that we can modify all indirect costs to direct
Yes.
cost if we can make
Yes.
tracking.
Yes, you can, but you can imagine quite often it's all about technology, and technology doesn't cost cheap. So if you are capable to move indirect cost into direct category, definitely in the long run, you are aiding to more transparency and as a result, more control.
So if we try to make something like putting the cost per cycle time. So if we have any product, we have its cycle time, so we can put all indirect per the unit according to cycle time. So it means that we modified the indirect to direct.
We can, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, it's not always possible. But if you can, definitely you can try to make all of the indirect costs directly tied up to the unit of the product.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
No problem. Any other questions? All right. So another categorization is looking at the manufacturing companies, how are they dealing with the cost classification. Most commonly available classification is basically putting it into the 3 bins. When we are subdividing now, not only the total category of the direct into one part, but we're subdividing direct cost to the direct labor as well as direct manufacturing. Of course, direct labor and direct materials. So whenever we are dealing with the labor substituted by the different types of the machine, in that case, the cost of that machine or depreciation cost of that machine is going to be contributing to your direct production of that certain type of the item. Manufacturing overhead, most of the time is general cost, so this kind of indirect cost that cannot be 100% tracked down in order for us to establish what is it exactly related to. And as we will discover later on when we will be looking at the break-even analysis, this is representing again the whole problematic area for the managers, because manufacturing overhead, whenever it's not controlled, of course, might be as a balloon growing and constantly reducing your profitability. Your maybe direct costs are not increasing, but your indirect costs, the manufacturing overhead, might be completely out of your control, and as a result, negatively contributing to profitability. When we are looking at, it's just an example of the direct material and direct labor and manufacturing overheads, usually they are having indirect costs of the manufacturing overhead related to the material. For example, transportation of the whole pile of all of those pipes, wooden things for the chair assembly, or the indirect labor, which is, for example, security, which you are employing in order to make sure that every item is on its own order, which is working for the entire plant. So it could be material related or it could be labor related in much more detailed overview. Of course, manufacturing overheads, in addition to the direct, indirect material and indirect labor, will have all of those types of the accounting related costs, which are more or less related to us looking for depreciation of our equipment, utility costs, which is, as I already said, could be moved into the direct costs under one condition. Whenever you have devices installed, which is tracking 100% how much of this utility bill is related for this department operation and stuff like that. Taxes is unfortunately very hard to be moved unless, again, you are having different types of the taxes calculated based on different properties and based on but even with that, if I'm having a factory, the property tax is not usually calculated based on every single room, right? It's usually one bill that you actually end up paying for the government, as well as insurance premiums. But often,
allocated the percentage.
usually it is the percentage of some of the value of the building and stuff like that. Therefore, since the unit of the reference is the value of the building, quite often it's very hard to put it into the chunks, you know? It's not based on every single square meter.
Maybe real estate tax.
Yes.
Yeah, but corporate tax, I can't fit it in the result.
Yes.
Sales tax maybe.
But even with the real estate tax, if you think about it, by the end of the day, you are paying the tax on the total property. Like for instance, in Nile University, we're having one building, something like 30 rooms. You cannot really allocate the taxes to every single room. It will be one bill for the entire property.
Maybe by square.
If it is a square meter, yes, okay. But
profitability.
maybe based on profitability, but most of the time property taxes is not based on profitability. It's based on the either square meters or something like that. But even in that case, true, but even in that case,
Some management allocated on G&A.
they are, but G&A, what is it? It is somehow, some of this G&A will be non-manufacturing, some of them will be manufacturing. So general and administrative sales team, which is working on the brand image and stuff like this, it will be non-manufacturing.
It's not related to production.
True,
It's cost 100%. I will be paid.
true, but again,
Like
it's
head of factory salary and the depreciation of building of manufacturing or main building in the manufacturing.
my main problem in Egypt that the managers or accountants, and this is what we're discovering when we are evaluating the companies, according to whatever they're supposed to be saying, this is one thing. When we're actually opening their balance sheet and income statement, which is audited, they are putting everything together and just putting into SG&A, although they shouldn't. They shouldn't put into the sales, general, and administrative something related to my manufacturing operations. It should be clearly in the cost of goods sold when sitting there, but not in the general SG&A. And another problem is that since it is shifts are happening without any warning, like we were analyzing, what was the company? Sidir fertilizers. They were doing one of the biggest company in Egypt, by the way, with audited statements, traded in the stock market with very good performance. Yeah, 2 years starting from 2000 to 2001, they were treating SG&A as one thing. And after that, they started to treat it as a completely different thing, separating it, putting some into the cost of goods sold and remaining some of them in SG&A without restating. So my students were looking at it, how can I predict how much it's going to be in the future. So when the accountants and
Change policy, you.
yes, yes, you must be
Restate.
restate, but they don't. This is my problem, they don't.
Restatement for 1 year back. Because,
Um,
because we have in the financial statement one comparative period.
True, but the problem is that if it was one company, I would say yes, okay. It's not a concern. In the last year, we were analyzing 15 different companies, which are big ones, like Kalal Mustafa Group, the Palm Hills, Portfolio Fagakebe. Oh, in the real estate, it's another big thingy. How they're accounting for revenues, how they're accounting for costs, it's another area.
For transparency of customers, in real estate, some persons, afraid of the numbers. Or don't understand why we restate.
It's not only about that. It's not, there's no consistent approach for the statements, first of all. Second of all, there is no transparency and reflection of what exactly happens. According to the accounting statements regulation, the companies need to explain every single cost item in the notes. Not a lot of companies are doing that. So the result, yes, we can predict, but we cannot predict with 100% accuracy based only on the numbers that they are providing us. So all of those manufacturing overheads might be grouped together or stated as one after another, especially when we are looking into the notes, in order for telling to us what the company used in addition to their direct labor and the direct material. Quite often, there is another way of looking at the same types of the categories. Whenever we are considering the prime cost versus yes, this is again you are seeing them immediately, right? Yes, Yomna. Yes, Yomna, I'm listening. Hello. Okay, Yomna, you can type or not. Maybe you don't have mic. So it means no question. Yeah? Prime cost and conversion cost is another way of looking at the cost allocation when we are considering the direct material and direct labor as a prime cost related to the product, and the direct material as well as the manufacturing overhead is in the category of conversion costs, which is letting me to use whatever I am having to convert the raw material into the ready-made product. We are in need of that quite often for the perspective of calculating contribution margin for the purpose of evaluating efficiency of company operation. We'll take a look at it toward the end of today's class. So prime cost and conversion cost is basically, if you will add direct material and direct labor, that's going to be prime cost. The direct labor together with the manufacturing overhead, we're calling it conversion cost. Yes? Yasmin? ولا يومنا still? طب يعني في chat. Okay. Yes.
The conversion and the prime.
Yes.
This means that the direct labor, I can use it twice.
Yes. Yes. So for the for analysis of what exactly was used in order to create this product, we are only considering direct labor and direct material. But whenever we are looking at managerial decisions, what was additional cost of me to get from raw materials my ready-made product, I will be also counting for the direct labor and manufacturing overhead separately. When we are looking at the selling and general and administrative, usually these are the ones not directly related to the manufacturing process. However, we need to have them since after producing something, we still need to sell it to our customers. So selling usually is going to be all types of the sales force, salaries that you're putting, any of commissions that you're giving as facilitation for the better sales, maybe transportation cost of your sales force, maybe the communication cost of your sales force. With administrative, it's mainly all types of the administrative position related to IT, which is serving the entire company, which might be accounting department, which is again serving the entire company. So the reason why we are pretty much grouping them together is to be able to analyze every single cost driver separately, and as a result, to make better decisions when we are, for instance, trying to cut the costs in order to increase efficiency, because obviously all of them, since they're cost, they're going to be with minus sign, which is going to be negatively affecting our profitability margins by the end of the day. That's what from perspective of daily operation. Another reason why we are putting selling and general and administrative together, because this is quite often when we are dealing with mergers and acquisition, one of the biggest pool of cost saving that the company might be having when the two companies from the same type of the industries are uniting together. For instance, this was one of the main area for the managers to discuss when I believe the Benz, the Mercedes-Benz together with the Chevrolet, whenever they were trying to, not Chevrolet, Chrysler, sorry, whenever they were trying to merge, back like 15 years ago, they were specifically looking at the hidden costs cuts in this area, because the idea was when the companies will become two, we will not be in need of the IT team, we will not be in need of the marketing team, we'll have one which will be pretty much contributing for both of the companies. So this was one of the main sources of the synergies. The financial statements preparation quite often requires us to look at the same cost, direct material, direct labor, overheads, from the perspective of putting it into another bundles, prime cost and period cost. We're usually looking at prime costs as the product-related costs, which are directly traceable for different types of the product. And the product cost usually is letting us to for the accounting purposes, to put them into the different categories depending on at which stage of production is my product taking place through the period whenever I'm accounting. For instance, if I'm buying the raw materials in order to make this chair, I'm going to be putting it as a raw material accounting transaction that I bought it, I used my cash, my raw materials increased. Maybe after a day or two, some of these raw materials will stay still as raw materials. Some of that will be starting to be working as. But we are not working in the world when everything is completed within a day. Sometimes it takes more than 1 day. So as soon as the product is not ready, it's going to be remaining in the category of work in process. Only whenever the product is available for sale, completed, we are moving it from the work in process to the ready or finished product, and it will remain in our balance sheet. So all of those items behind me are related mainly to the balance sheet before I'm going to sell anything to my customers. As soon as I'm going to start selling some of the chairs, automatically it's going to be moving from the balance sheet in order to generate my revenue and contributing to the cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold, as you remember, what was the formula for cost of goods sold? How we account for cost of goods sold? This was in the financial accounting. Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold accounting for, this is expenses, right? The category of the financial statement. However, by itself, expenses do not just get from nowhere. We are actually starting with calculating for beginning inventory, which, by the way, is going to be raw material plus work in process plus the finished product. Okay, all of the three is going to be counted for in the beginning of the period. After that, I might be making the new purchases. Throughout the year, I will be buying more raw materials. I will be working on more products, which will be transferred from raw materials into the work in process. And some of them are going to be already converted into the finished product. And I will have to minus from that ending inventory. So how does it work? For example, let's say that in the beginning of the last year, I was having the raw material for 10,000. And I was having work in process for 20,000. And in the beginning of the year, I was having finished goods for 30,000. So my beginning inventory, this is, let's say, end of the year, 2025. So my total is going to be 60,000, which is going to be my beginning inventory. During a year, the operation management is reporting that they purchased additional 10,000 of raw material. They finished additional 10,000 of work, so they converted it into this. And the finished product was, let's say, for 20,000. So my total amount of purchases was, as a result, 40,000. And in the end, this will be accounted for in the end of the year. I will be basically going into my storage room, looking into my factory, calculating what was remaining of the raw materials, work in process still didn't complete, as well as the finished products. So as a result, it's going to be 60 plus 40 minus whatever is, let's assume that ending inventory is 10 altogether after all of that. So that's going to be this plus this minus this in order for me to calculate how much was cost of goods sold throughout the operation of the company in the year. Of course, it's not done ad hoc, at any point of time. We are usually having the reporting throughout the year in order to calculate for each one of this account. They will be automatically adjusted. The job order papers, which is transferred from one department to another, automatically is going to be adjusting three bills that we are going to be allocating. Okay, questions?
I'm a bit confused between the beginning inventory and the purchases.
Beginning inventory, this is how much I was having in my books in the beginning of the year.
And the purchases are exactly the same, the raw material, work in process, and
Yes.
finished goods, but throughout the time, for selling?
Most of the time, of course, purchases are going to be just raw materials. Because after that, raw materials are going to be automatically transferred into the work in process and automatically processed into the finished product. So most of the time, purchases are raw materials.
The labor costs.
How can I calculate?
Labor costs related to if the company, and that's where most of the time we are going to be seeing more picture. Some of the work in process will have the labor cost being added automatically, right? So the purchases will not have labor cost. However, the work in process is going to have an element of what has been used out of the raw materials and the direct labor cost.
Also finished.
Finished good, the same story. Finished good is going to be automatically translated. So the flow goes from here to here to here. Okay? Okay.
Confusing. Why I'm calculating the finished goods plus the raw material and working in process.
Because altogether, they constitute my ending inventory or beginning of inventory.
I'm thinking that raw material are part of the furniture.
No.
So why I'm calculating?
No. Raw material is something that I purchased. And this raw material is going to be what was for that day unused. Maybe in the beginning of the year, I bought 20,000 of the raw materials. In the end, I'm seeing that the raw materials remaining is only 10,000. So raw materials in the end of the previous year is going to be 10,000. This will be by itself category. Throughout the year, some of this will be moving into this and moving into this. You will see these accounts will be adjusted.
Allocation cost.
Yes, reallocation of the cost. But in the end of the year, let's say that you purchased, in the beginning of May, 10,000 of the raw materials. Well, in this case, it will be 20,000. Okay. Some of it moved into the working process. It will be removed from here, going into here. But what I'm talking about, in any given period of time, when I'm preparing my balance sheet and income statement, I'm going to see some remaining accounts in each one of them after the adjustments. Because when you are creating the financial statements, you are seeing a snapshot, right? As a result of whatever has been happening for the current time being, yes. So that's why we will be adding them together. However, how it will be working after the new purchases will be done, the new raw materials will increase. Some of the raw materials will be transferred to work in process. Some of the work in process will be moving into the finished goods. Yes. Okay. And in the end of the year, you will be seeing another result.
Yes.
Looking into your company, you will be looking at new levels of inventory as a raw material, as a work in process, and finished good. Okay.
Thank you.
Hazim business.
Yes, Mr. Hazen.
I want to ask if in the working process, if I have any deviation like scrap, like waste, this is included in COGS or not included in COGS?
Usually it is, however, you will see in the COGS a special category, because again, this is the part of the company might be trying to manipulate to put the scrap as in work in process. However, if you account for scrap separately, you will definitely have it as part of the cost, cost of goods sold. Most of the time, the companies are making allowances for the scrap in order for them not to have a surprising loss of some certain items, and so it will be like a contra account. As soon as I'm opening my inventory, I will be putting allowances for the scrap. It's like a reserve. Okay, from the beginning of the year. And after that, I will be starting to remove my scrap automatically from that allowances.
Okay.
Scrap is something that is damaged. I am creating something and I'm damaging something in the process.
Why am I getting the separate budget for it?
Because otherwise it's going to be increasing your costs. If you will not, you will have to put it into your costs. As soon as your cost is going to be, for example, let's say that you are sitting in the university and damaging your computer. That's going to be a scrap. And in that case, that expense is going to increase the total expenses of the university in the end of the year. But if your university knows that, and on average, one computer is damaged per year by anybody, they will be creating a reserve, taking out of their profits, a reserve created for the covering of that expense.
Covering as purchasing a new one?
No, covering that expense, not purchasing a new one, covering that expense, not putting it into your expenses. It will be hidden somewhere, but it will be taken from the money that is already allocated for extra scrap that you will be creating. Because if the company does not create these allowances, in that case, your costs will be only increasing every single year due to somebody damaging something in the company.
And if I don't, for example, there is an amount of money for the demolished parts or whatever, let's say 200, and I put in front of it another 200 in order to, at the end of the sheet, be equal, and they go with each other.
Yes.
If I did not do that, طب ما هو البروفيت هيبقى أكبر وهتحمل لي expense.
No, just a second. It's all about different types of the looking at the accounting record. Profits, whatever net profit you are going to be accounting in this year. After that, if there is a decision of the shareholders, you may be taking some of this profit and putting it as a reserves. When you are putting it as a reserves, you are not declaring to somebody in the end of the year that you wasted. It will not be as your cost.
You have wood to make 10 chairs. Okay? When I'm working on chairs, broken some wood, so on the production 9 chairs. So I have waste or scrap wood, I will be lost.
It will be adding to your cost. But if from the beginning of the year you created reserves for the scrap,
انا اشتريت الرو ماتيريال مش قادر ان انا انتج بيه تاني فبقى من عندي سكراب بضطر اشتري غيره علشان انتج تاني فالسكراب ده اصبح بالنسبه لي ايه؟ رو ماتيريال هرميه فالرو ماتيريال ده انا دفعت ثمن المفروض انا اكيد عليه عشان
A difference, scrap and depreciation.
no, this completely different. Is
that's it. Generated from scrap.
yes, it is you يعني allocating the cost that you already spent, but instead of putting it into the expenses. By the way, some of the companies doing that, some small companies, they are taking the entire cost of the equipment مثلا and expensing it the same year. What is the disadvantage of that? By the end of the day, who is going to result in the same outcome. The disadvantage that every single time whenever you are creating depreciation, you are reducing the amount of taxes that you are paying per year. So total net profit is going to be the same. But the fact that you are redistributing the cost of the equipment that you purchase over the 5 years is doing two things. First of all, smoothing your expenses throughout the years. Second of all, letting you to take tax advantage because the higher, the depreciation is going to be deducted as an expense, but it's not actual money that you are paying. As a result of you having lower earning before interest and taxes, your earnings after the interest and taxes, you are going to have less taxes to be paid. It's completely different than scrap. Okay? But scrap is a problematic area because by the end of the day, if you are not ready to face the scrap, it's the same story as with the banks. Well, for the banks, what is the scrap?
Paper scrap.
Non-performing loans. I gave the loan to you, you didn't pay for me at the end of the year, that's my mistake. I gave to you, trusting you, so what to do with this amount of money? I will be putting it into the expenses if only I'm not ready for that. That's why they are creating the allowances as soon as I'm giving to you the loan based on the previous history. They are creating
2-3%.
exactly. So
Loans.
yes, they are taking some of the previous year's cash. They are creating a reserve, and based on this reserve, they are covering all of those expenses.
Or some money.
Yes, you are parking some money, exactly. But here is the big catch. You are not parking this some money and putting it from the, it's going to be use of cash. But you are not using cash as an expense here. You are creating allowances, which is completely different thing.
Okay, I can take 50%.
You can't. There is a regulation, how much should be allowances and stuff like that. So yes, it is a way of manipulating the total revenues and stuff like this, but from the perspective of risk management, is actually one of the, and of course the managers do not just automatically do that, they have to be monitoring amount of scrap, trying to reduce it and stuff like this. This is one of the way how we can actually evaluate management efficiency. If I'm having the company having allowances for scrap and all of those kind of things increasing from one year to another, I will be immediately looking at the statements and saying, what are you doing? You are making me to believe that you are doing something, but you are not doing anything, but you are putting your scrap under the mattress. Okay.
What if the scrap is recycled into another?
If they can do that, in that case, it's not really a scrap. If they can get some value out of the item at the reduced cost, still the amount of total value that you are getting, you might be getting from this item will be lost. Yes, مثلا, if I'm making this chair, out of this, maybe I'm having some other line which is making small stools, right? Although this might be not working, but this part might be working. The value of this part will be still calculated as a scrap. Although I saved some of it, but part of it is not there, huh? So it will be still scrap.
Sold the whole scrap to another company which takes as a raw material for their own production.
True, but still you are not able to sell it for the entire same value. You would be lucky if you will find out the scrap will be sold for the same amount of money, but in the reality, no.
It's same amount.
Yes, but the total amount that you paid for your raw material is 1 million. You will not be able to get for your scrap 1 million. You will still get, you will have to realize losses. Loss from the value of the inventory because of you, because of your scrap. Okay? Sometimes, by the way, this is wherever the management is not very easy to announce about it. So they are starting to fight. And after that, we're hearing about the lawsuits, you know. Whenever the company, after 10 years of reporting, all of a sudden, the associations are finding out that there is you were hiding something from us. So big companies are facing the lawsuits where they have to pay back to the government because they try to manipulate whatever might be looking as something working good, but in the reality, no. Okay? And you know when it all comes in? Whenever the company goes through the merger and acquisition. After that, we are discovering what did we pay for? When Nokia has been acquired by, I think, Google, this is the major problem for them. What did we pay for? They paid for the company, I believe, something like 10 billion, and they had to realize the loss 9 billion something. They overpaid for what? For something that didn't exist in the balance sheet and income statement. Tamam? All right. Any other questions? We have to what? طب يعني أضواء accountants they didn't explain it.
Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Ahmed.
So, are you meaning here by the allowances something like provision or what?
Something like what?
Provision?
Yes, provisions, yes.
Okay,
Provisions for the doubtful account usually, yes.
so we can say that we put it as a minus from the beginning inventory or what?
We are going to be putting it as the contract account, yes, from amount of the inventory.
Okay, so if we did something like improvement projects and so on, and improved this scrap across the year, it means that our book will be inaccurate?
Our cost is going to be inaccurate as soon as allowances are there, yes. You will not be clearly capable to see all of this cost allocation in the statements.
Oh, so what can we do to make it more accurate in this case?
It depends on what are you using the financial statements for. Unfortunately, only people who are working inside of the company, they know exactly what is it accounted for. And definitely as a manager in the company, you would clearly know what was the cost allocation because you will know that the allowances is for the scrap. You will have all of the access to those books. So as a user of the inside information in the company, there will be no problem for you to determine your costs.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yes, this is again Yumna. Okay, Mr. Hazim.
Yes, if I am able to sell the scrap,
yes,
this money can be reduce the cost of goods sold or reduce the ratio of the scrap.
Yes, it will be reducing your cost of goods sold if you are capable to get some money. Yes.
Okay.
Right. But of course, it's impossible to completely, if everything was scrap, it's impossible to completely reduce it. Still, there will be loss of some items. All right. When we are looking at the product and period cost, so most of the time, the product cost will include all of this flow through the raw material, work in process, finished goods, and only whenever the item is being sold to the people, some of this will be still remaining in the inventory. For example, after all of that, I calculated that my inventory is for 60,000. Let's say that I sold half of my finished goods. Okay, so in that case, that 15,000 is going to be moved to the cost of goods sold, and the remaining 15,000 is going to be remaining in my ending inventory in order to account for my balance sheet. So the move from the inventory to cost of goods sold is going to be only possible whenever you actually sell something. Before you sell something, well, let's say that I bought the raw material, I created the work in process, and I have some finished good, but I wasn't able to sell. In that case, the whole amount will still remain in the balance sheet. It will not move to cost of goods sold. So therefore, most of the companies are having that discrepancy between how much inventory they have and how much cost of goods sold. Obviously, companies are the ones that are dealing with the fast-moving product sector. This is like the food items, different types of the groceries that might be available in the stores. You will find out a very quick transition from the inventory to cost of goods sold. However, somebody who's constructing airplanes like Boeing, sometimes they might be having the airplane sitting there as a work in process for a couple of years before it will be moved from the inventories into cost of goods sold. Okay, so the inventory conversion ratios, if you remember, we were calculating something like days of inventory turnover or times inventory turnover. You'll find out they are going to be higher for the companies which are working in the fast-moving products, which is mostly the food-related products, and they will be lower for the companies which are dealing with more bigger types of the equipment. Yes.
For ending inventory is still a raw material.
Ending inventory is a combination. Like, for example, when I am finishing a year, still some of my material will be raw. Some of it's still going to be work in process because my production line does not necessarily match my accounting statement preparation period.
Work in process and finished goods are different thing from the
raw material
and the purchases and the ending.
No, the ending inventory and beginning inventory will include raw materials, finished goods, work in process. Both of them, ending and beginning, will include. And the purchases mainly will include the raw materials. Because I'm purchasing what? Raw materials, right?
So
yes.
The finished goods which are not been sold and not added again at the beginning inventory for the next cycle.
But we are not adding that. We are taking beginning plus purchases minus ending. Not to count double. So for example, I'm having 10,000 in the beginning of my raw materials. In the end, I'm having 5,000 of my raw materials, and I didn't have any purchases. If I'm going to be adding them together, it's double counting. For this reason, I will be taking my raw materials of 10,000 minus my ending raw materials, which is 5,000. Okay? So only the remaining in the end of the year is going to be in the raw materials. Only the remaining, whatever I'm seeing right now is work in process, will be in the ending inventory. Okay? Most of the time, the beginning, as soon as you're looking at inventory account, if it is not a service company, you will have 3 categories in both of them. The numbers might be different depending on the nature of the business operation. And purchases will be mainly raw materials. Okay? All right. Period costs are the ones which we are usually expensing immediately. most of the time they are selling general and administrative costs, which we يعني need to use whenever we are doing our activity. So there is no this, there is no parking it in one account and after that putting it into another. No, immediately. As soon as I'm paying something for my sales team, it is going to go directly into the expenses. The cash will be reduced, my expenses is going to increase throughout the whole year. So what you need to understand with regard to these two definitions, the costs related mainly for the direct material, direct labor, they will be the ones which would be parked at some point of time into the balance sheet, into the categories of work in process, raw material, and finished goods. And expenses related to selling, general, and administrative will be automatically going into the income statement. So that's why we are calling them period costs. And that's why we are calling them product costs, whichever will be parked for some period of time. So let's see here. Which cost is going to be period, which is going to be the product rather than product cost. It could be more than one month.
And we say which is period cost and which is product cost.
They are only asking you here for period cost. Obviously, if you identify period, the other ones is going to be product cost.
That would be
Who is trying to speak online? Let's give the people online a priority. Yumna,
here,
yes,
yes. I think it will be B,
it's going to be
as
what?
it's BB, letter B, as it will be administrative, yes.
Property tax and corporate headquarters. Everybody agree? This is period. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Electrical cost to light the production facilities.
I think D is manufacturing overhead.
It's actually only two here. The tax, yes. Sales commission, yes. However, the electrical cost to light production facilities, this is manufacturing overhead, which is related to my product cost, if you think about it. I use that light in order to create this item. Yes, it is not directly traceable, but because it is related to the whole production facility, it's going to be bundled together. Manufacturing equipment depreciation, since directly related to the equipment that I'm using, it's also going to be a product cost. It will be bundled together in order to accumulate for my work in process all of this finished goods categories. All right.
Yeah, doctor, if I did not have a product, first, there will not be a property. If I don't have a product in order for the salesman to sell it, there will not be sales commission. وانت راجع عارفه بس ما هو عامل يعني I don't see the clear cut difference between period and products.
Anything related to
Even the salary that we discussed in any direct or any indirect can be transferred into direct if we re-identify it.
No, here is not really related to the direct or indirect. Here it is related for the, even some of the indirect might be related to product cost because it is directly traceable. For example, if it was electrical cost to light up the administrative building serving the company, it's not going to be the product cost. What is the product here? It's a manufacturing company. Here it is a manufacturing company, specifically stated to you. Of course, if it will be any company, your comment might kind of make sense, but sales commissions, it's never product cost. Product cost is anything that is related for you to take the raw material, to convert it into the work in process and get into the finished product. What do we use? We use the raw material, we use the labor, we use some electricity, We use some of the taxes because, we use some of the equipment, yes. For this reason, they are specifically.
To make the production happen.
Exactly, yes. That's why
Not
use
use
it.
it after the production or.
That's true, yes. Yes, yes.
Sometimes we have in tax, when we have a loss, we have a production and the loss of the income, net income, didn't pay any tax. And sometimes pay taxes on مثلا capital gain, is like مثلا selling investment, selling fixed assets, not from production. So I will pay tax to another type of revenue, not including production. And sales commission, sometimes we didn't pay a commission, the sales demand didn't get a target. So we didn't pay a commission, but we have a production. It's not must related to production.
No, the productions must be directly related to production.
Yes.
Sales is not related to
Yes.
production. Yes. Okay? So when you are looking at it, what you have to put into your head, what was used into producing this particular item? Okay? Administrating cost related to IT department was not used unless this was IT team which was specifically working with equipment. Okay? So
Equipment of the product.
all the production, yes, not just to process accounting statements and stuff like that. Okay, so it would be usually clearly stated here, what makes you to believe that manufacturing equipment depreciation is going to be related to the production? Because it's equipment, and it's a manufacturing equipment. If it was office equipment depreciation, it will not be in the product, okay? Property taxes on corporate headquarters. If it was property taxes on factory, it will be related to production, but here corporate headquarters, not related. Direct material cost, I think it's clear. Electrical cost, production facility, this is what's making it direct, the product related cost. Okay, if it was of accounting facility, not related. Okay. All right. When we are looking at variable, fixed, and mixed cost, any ideas? What kind of cost considered to be variable, fixed, and mixed? No, you try. Yes. Variable cost.
Like lighting, electricity.
Why?
But sometimes we air conditioner working.
Very interesting approach to look at the variable cost. I'm glad that I asked you, for you to remember. What's your name?
Sama.
Okay, yes.
Variable cost, could be salaries.
Could be salaries, when salary is a variable cost.
It's a variable.
When it is.
When I'm working with daily labor.
Still, give me a little bit more detail. Give me an example, maybe that would be more. For example, my salary, I'm working daily. I would consider myself as a daily labor because my classes run every day. Would my salary be variable cost or fixed cost?
It's fixed.
Why?
Because there is a contract.
Okay.
And we know that by the end of the month, we will be paid X.
When my salary is going to become variable cost?
Variable cost, I mean, if the company assign a daily laborers, different daily laborers.
But even with the part-timers, by the way, my university has its space.
Yeah, no part-time. I mean, if they have 10 laborers for this day to assembly something.
Okay.
The next day is 15 laborers.
Okay.
The next other day is 30 laborers. Depends on the production.
Let me change something in whatever you are saying in order to make it clear. My salary can become variable cost if they will assign my salary to the number of the students that I'm teaching. For example, any additional student joining class, I will be receiving extra 1,000 per every student. Okay. So when the cost directly related to the unit of output, we are calling it variable cost. Okay? Based on the amount of output. Yes. Like commission is a variable cost. Yes. The more you sell, the more you are going to be paying for that.
Basic salary, it's a fixed cost.
That's most of the time.
Commission or quality, commission and stuff.
Direct product cost, it's a variable cost. Direct labor cost, it's a variable cost, because the more I'm paying, the more I'm producing, the more I'm paying. Yes. However, what we have to understand is the variable cost. In general, it looks like it's varying, right? However, your electricity example is not a good estimation of the variable cost. Why? Because your electrical bill is changing depending on how much per megabyte you are using. So, however, most of the time, for example, the factories, they are not paying per megabyte. They are having some kind of bundle. Like you're having 50,000 Egyptian pounds to be paid because you are using from this amount to this amount of the kilowatts. Okay? Most of the times, you as a user of electricity, yes, you are paying per kilowatt. For you, it's a variable cost. For the factories, most of the time, it is fixed cost. Or sometimes it might be mixed cost, which has a little bit of component of the fixed, a little bit of component of variable. For instance, going with my example, government of Egypt might be encouraging companies to produce. They might be saying to them, up to 100,000 of kilowatt, you will be paying that much amount of money. It doesn't matter for you. Use 10,000, use 20, you will be paying 50,000. But if you will exceed it for every single kilowatt, you will be paying مثلا 3 Egyptian pound extra. Okay?
First part would be fixed.
Based, after that, it will be variable. So as a result, we will be dealing with mixed costs. Sometimes the government is putting something like that in order to kind of make it more predictable by giving a fixed component, but at the same time giving to you a choice of increasing your production capacity, but not charging you that much as an increment. Okay? Yes.
So why not we calculate your salary as a mixed cost?
Tell to my university. I'm telling you.
I'm talking about the same concept.
Yes, yes.
Daily basis, we're like 20 students.
They refuse. I saw many times I'm talking about it. So in this case, my colleagues who are doing a lousy job and the students who are just 10 students or 15, they're actually getting advantage of this fixed cost structure, right?
Yes.
Instead of the people who are teaching 100 students and stuff
So
like that.
it's logic.
Yes, it is logic, yes. But trust me, it doesn't, with educational institutions, we are always considered as a fixed cost.
Yes.
Even it was very funny when we were analyzing Badia, and we were having Badia CFO standing and explaining to the students, because the students will be in need to understand fixed and variable structure to be able to project. Because by the end of the day, we are predicting what would be the future costs. And at that point of time, Badia University was still not working. There was a lot of fixed costs. They were constructing it. And from the year wherever the students got this task, they needed to predict, assuming that university will start operating. So the main question in the heart of the student was how we will calculate what's going to be salaries. And the answer was, look at the Badr University. We are going to copy paste Badr University structure. Fixed costs, main cost is salaries. And salaries are considered to be fixed over the 5 years. Even with the 10% of increase that the government is asking to do, is not happening in most of the institutions. So unfortunately, across Egypt, private sector, public sector, it's a fixed cost. Any questions online, guys?
No, doctor, all is good.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Who out of you have your salaries as a fixed cost or variable cost?
Fixed.
Or somebody who is not wishing to reveal, yes, it will create a scandal.
But doctor, the profit share or bonus is variable cost, not fixed.
Yes. bonus is variable cost, yes. But not every single job description is having bonuses.
Yes.
And even those bonuses, it depends what is it tied up to.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's a except for supported function.
Yes. So when we are looking at the variable costs, most of the time what we are used to see, the labor hours, so the unit of the product, but it might be something else. It might be the variable cost based on how many units I resell. For example, I'm not producing something. I'm buying something and selling something. So what would be my variable cost? The cost of purchase of this item from the distributor. The more units I resell, the more going to be my variable cost. Sometimes it is unit produced, sometimes it's machine hours. For instance, if I'm going to be having a hospital, which is using some certain equipment, so the number of hours that I'm using my what is it called? The MRI machine is going to be contributing to increase of my cost for the electricity, for example, because it's consuming huge amount of the energy. So different cost drivers, which are directly increasing together with the unit of account. Fixed cost, okay. So with the fixed cost, I have to mention something very much important thing. Yes, in general, we for simplicity assume that the fixed costs are fixed. However, I want you to be aware that it actually will remain fixed under one condition: whenever the company is not using full capacity. For example, for current setting of the Nile University, my fixed cost is going to be the cost of all of those chairs, projectors, and stuff like this that I'm currently using in all of the 3 buildings. However, as soon as I'm going to add a capacity, everybody has seen there, the buildings constructed, right? As soon as those buildings are going to be added to our offering, we will be having our fixed cost base increase whenever we are able to serve more number of the students. So usually we are speaking about the ranges of the fixed cost. From 0 to this number of students, we will be 5,000 students. Let's say this is the maximum capacity of Nile University. We will be keeping our fixed costs fixed. However, as soon as this capacity is going to be increased, we are going to be dealing with doubling or a tripling amount of the costs that we will be facing in our operations. For instance, here, yes.
Building furniture cost.
The classroom, they are assets, but there will be different levels of depreciation of those assets. We will be having, twice more chairs. All of those.
I'm calculating the depreciation as cost, not the original thing. صح ولا إيه؟
I am calculating some depreciation.
Time using, it's that.
Yeah.
We have a building it's for 20 years, we depreciate the building on 20 years. To fully, furniture like 5 years. We depreciate on 5 years to IT equipment like 3 years. After 3 years, it's fully depreciated. We must to replace with a new one.
إيه بنور الكوست بعد 20 سنة ولا غير 20 سنة؟
هذه معك لابتوب.
يعني أنا هحطه في 2 sheets، هحطه asset في sheet وهحطه depreciation في sheet.
ما هو asset في البالانس شيت. وبيجنريت اكسبنس في الانكم ستيتمنت. وبيمينيمايز في البالانس شيت لغايه ما يبقى بزيرو. حضرتك اشتريت لابتوب النهارده ب 10,000 جنيه. انزله الكوست ب 10,000 جنيه؟ لا. انزله 10,000 جنيه في البالانس شيت هذا اسيت. في الانكم ستيتمنت هنجري 3,000 جنيه كل سنه يبقى ايه بعد 3 سنين بقى زيرو بقى. اقدر بس ساعتها بقى تقول لي ده خلاص بقى موديل قديم انا عايز موديل جديد اشتري واحد جديد ساعتها. ما اجيش بعد 3 سنين انزل 10,000 مره. ليه؟ علشان انا دايما الفتره الماليه انا بنزل كل الاكسبنس اللي ريليتد بالتايم ده في الفتره دي. سواء اكسبنس
او في كل سنه ديت في الفيكس كوست.
ده على حسب الستريت لاين ميثود ده مثلا
perhaps better example is going to be the costs that we are using for electricity. Right now, university is paying electrical bill for those 3 buildings. With the new buildings, because it's more kilowatt is going to be consumed, electrical and utility cost is going to be higher since we are adding a new capacity into our.
This is the actual cost.
Yes, this is the actual cost, which is going to be doubling or tripling depending on the added capacity. If the added capacity is 3 times more than we're currently having, that means that our fixed cost will increase by 3 times and will remain fixed until we will be adding more buildings into our offer. Okay, this is what usually happening in the factories, because most of the time the factories are having some certain maximum capacity. With this equipment we can produce 10,000 items. So with those 10,000 items, electricity, utility, if I'm not distributing them and counting for them, it would be my fixed cost. However, as soon as I'm expanding and adding more factories, my fixed cost is going to be higher. Yes. Here, for instance, we are having the fixed cost 30,000 up to 1,000 square meters. So whenever we are going to be adding more capacity of 2,000 square meters, our fixed cost will immediately double to become 30,000. If it is an additional 1,000 square meters, it will be triple, and so on and so forth. So yes, fixed is fixed. However, it's usually limited by either maximum capacity achieved or some certain other criteria which is used by the companies. This is how we are looking at the fixed cost expansion. Yes. Yes, Mr. Ahmed.
It means that it moved from fixed to mixed cost?
No, it's not mixed. It's it doesn't really have the variable cost. It's actually depends on the extra capacity that is going to be utilized. So yes, somehow there is a formula, but it actually working in a little bit different manner. Here we are not speaking about the unit of output. See, in the other example I was giving to you, for instance, my salary is 50,000, but for any additional students, I am receiving extra, مثلا 50 Egyptian pounds. So in that case, the more students, the more is going to be my salary. But here we are dealing with مثلا electricity, which is paid per 1,000 square meter. As soon as the company is expanding, 1,000 square meter is مثلا my current workable area. As soon as I'm having another office, it's going to be increasing. Okay, in the same office of 1,000 square meters, I might be having مثلا 20 students, or I might be having 1,000 students. So this is not fixed cost, will be still the same. It doesn't matter. Am I having 20 students or 100 students? As soon as they're fitting in the same 1,000 square meter area. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's a little bit different concepts here. So what is very much important thing to notice about fixed and variable costs when we are analyzing them? Variable cost per unit, okay, is exactly the same. Total variable cost is going to be higher. The more units we are using, the more is going to be my variable cost. However, when we are looking at the fixed cost, total fixed cost is the same. However, per unit fixed cost is going to be lower. Because if you think about it, if my 1,000 square meters feet is allowing me or costing me 30,000, if I'm putting here one person, fixed cost per one person is going to be 30,000 divided by 1. If I'm putting into the square area 100 people, it's going to be 1,000 divided by 100. So my fixed cost per unit will be lower. And this is what is the major advantage of the fixed cost. As soon as I'm capable to use the same capacity and squeeze there more, I'm capable to reduce my fixed cost per unit. Okay? With variable cost, it's all about suppliers, more or less. It's all about outsiders, not under your direct control. But your fixed cost, it's under your control. You are capable to squeeze more better operation facilities in the certain area or something like that. Any questions about that? They are somehow indirectly related.
Inverse relationship.
Inverse relationship, yeah. All right. So which of the following costs would be variable with respect to the number of ice cream cones sold at Baskin Robbins shop? Do you know that?
Yes.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
List some of them, yes, alhamdulillah. Not all the varieties, by the way. With the actual varieties is 100 plus. But into Egypt, they're only bringing 5 and things. Yes.
I think the CMB.
C and
C and
D.
D.
Everybody thinks the same?
Yes.
Okay, you are correct. C and D is our variable cost. The other one, cost of lighting the store, wages of the store manager, all of them are fixed. It's unless wages or the total salary has wages plus bonus and stuff like this. Yes. Quite often, and this is where I was trying to explain the mixed cost. It consists of 2 items. So usually it is estimated by the formula whenever the total mixed cost is having the part of it which is fixed and the part of it which is variable. And in that case, you will need to know the variable cost per unit, number of units, in order to estimate the total cost which is going to happen. I don't think is there any problem with this, right? My fish. Okay. Here is another example of the same concept. Here is the company which is organizing some kind of, expeditions for the other people. And as a result, the government is asking the company to pay taxes for the certain state. 25,000 per year they have to pay, doesn't matter how many people they are serving. However, with more number of the routes that they produce, they are charging them extra $3 per any type of the organized excursion that they have. So for them, it's going to be 25,000 plus 3 multiplied by, let's say, 500 organized trips. 25,000 plus 3 multiplied by 500 is going to be the total mixed cost that they're having in this example. Let's try to look into that and understand what kind of product or period conversion and prime variable and fixed would be detected from here. The first question is product and period. Remember what's product cost with this period cost? What's product cost with this period cost?
Anything, product, anything related to the manufacturing and production. Period, gender and administration.
Okay, so which one is going to be related to the product? Direct material, direct labor,
Fixed manufacturing.
okay.
Fixed manufacturing. Manufacturing over.
Yes. Direct labor, direct material, correct, but it's also total manufacturing overhead. It doesn't matter for me. Is it variable or fixed? Since it's related to manufacturing, we will have to group them together. Okay, what about the period?
Fixed selling expense.
Okay.
Total
Fixed selling,
administrative.
variable selling, fixed administrative, total administrative. So it's going to be our total selling expense and total administrative expense. Doesn't matter. Is it variable or fixed? Okay. So the prime cost versus product cost does not really consider segregation into variable or fixed. It's only looking from the perspective, is it related to product or is it not related to product? All right, what about the, yes.
what would you consider a fixed selling expense or variable selling? What is the selling expense?
For example, I'm having my task force consisting of salespeople who are receiving fixed salary. So in that case, it's going to be fixed selling expense. Each one of those people are receiving commission if they will sell extra product. That's going to be variable selling expense. So the total salary of selling people is basically consists of the two items, fixed part and variable part.
Selling expense is only the salary of the sales team.
Salary, transportation allowances, communication allowances, maybe some booth that you're putting, any kind of commissions that you're saving.
Discounts.
Yes.
With numbers.
Delivery is considered.
Yes, sometimes it is considered selling expense if you are taking delivery on yourself. For example, if you are not charging a person, it's going to be delivery charging yours. If I'm selling to you items, I'm selling to you when you will receive, you will pay for the delivery by yourself. Delivery will not be my cost. However, if I'm delivering it to you and selling, this is complementary, that's my cost, yes. Okay? Yes.
Why we didn't consider total selling expense and total administrative expense?
We did. We took the total selling expense and total, why we didn't consider for the product?
Yes.
Because they are by definition, the period costs are only selling and administrative. They are by sides, okay? They exist, but they are not related to production. All right, the second one was to subdivide them into conversion and prime. Do you remember the definition of conversion and prime? Prime cost.
Direct labor.
Direct delivery. That's prime.
Direct labor or prime.
Direct labor and manufacturing.
All right, so first of all, the conversion cost is direct labor plus any kind of overheads that we are having. Any kind, yes, manufacturing overhead, variable or fixed, it doesn't matter. And the other one, which was direct labor and direct material, yes. We are not considering any.
Please, I'm a little bit confused here. Why we are calculating the direct labor in the prime cost and then in the conversion cost?
Because for the analytical purposes, it's not for accounting purposes again. When, as a manager, I want to see what was costing me in order to convert this raw material into finished product, I do not really consider direct material cost here. I only consider input coming from me, my labor, as well as my overhead, right? So the subdivision into this cost, again, by all means, not for accounting purposes. This is for the purposes of the decision making, because I want to see what was extra cost. By the way, the direct material, this is the cost that I cannot by myself control. I am taking that unless I am finding a better supplier, for example. But by the end of the day, the direct material is not coming from me, unless I am a company which is, for example, having from the beginning to the end the complete loop. Masalan, I am digging for the oil, I'm creating out of oil diesel, and after that I am shipping them. So in that case, my direct material cost is going to be any cost related for me to dig this oil from the ground and to make it available as a raw material. In that case, I'm in the control. But if I am not, most of the time, this is what's going on. I am buying it from somebody. So from the perspective of manager, quite often direct material is not something that I'm controlling for. I am usually a price taker. Okay?
Okay, thank you, doctor.
And the final one, fixed and variable.
Variable material, so variable material.
With the variable, it's going to be the direct material, definitely. I have to count for that. because it's changing, right? Whenever we are producing more units, it's direct labor, and it's going to be the variable cost related to overheads. With the fixed, is going to be also fixed manufacturing overhead and fixed administrative overhead, because we do not have fixed material and fixed labor. The material and labor is not subdivided into two categories. Okay? Questions? I think this was the easiest one.
But a little, but you,
Confusing in a way.
yeah, you need to rehearse.
No, you need to do more activities.
Yeah.
Maybe today, in the end of the class, we'll be able to validate your confusion. All right. What time is it now?
Well,
Do you want to take a break? Maximum 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes. I hope it's enough. Huh?
15, 20.
One five. 12 and quarter. كم وقت الآن يعني؟ Okay. ماشي. 12:15 we are going to be back. 5 minutes gift يعني. Mr. Bass, negotiation tactics, especially considering that I cannot say no, right? Considering that I cannot say no.
أول حاجة أصل العائلة وبعد كده بتجمع ساعة وبعد كده بتتفرج على الحاجة. طب أنا جيت النهارده زي ما بتقول أنا جيت النهارده قفلت قصيت وجمعت يعني لسه ما عملتش فعادي إن هم عشان مقصر كده سيمي اللي هو يقول خلاص كده أنا الجروب التاني بس منتج جديد اسمه ولا احنا في اليوم ولا هو يبقى خلص بقى انا شاري الجروب التاني عشان 100 واحد في الاخر صنعت 90
في 10 سنين
مش كمان عندي ويست الاوقع ما انا ممكن انا اشتري حصل 90 عشان ما اسيب الكلام بتاع مش عارف ايه انا بتكلم على مضبوطات ان هو واحد هو شغال تطلع صغير الصح هو خلص بيشتري من اونلاين عشان يروح يخلص خلاص ده كده اسكان الحته اللي كان احمد حمود بيتكلم عنها حكايه السوشيال للاسف انا المفروض بعمل حاجه اسمها فيكتوري ده زي استراتيجيه الناس بتعمل اقتصاد ده لو او الكونفيوري ممكن ما بيعملش تنزل او سنشتغل فيه مثلا شركه زي دكتور انت بتاع سبع محمود طبيعي مش شريك يعني دلوقتي مثلا عندي موبايل نوكيا واحد بيسال سؤال ايه طبعا الفتره اللي مكانها الشباب ده يسال ايه في راجل خمسه هو هم لسه لا لازم لو هم اتفقوا على بعض مليون جنيه لازم اعمل بروفيشن حتى على الاقل مش 700,000 جنيه عشان انا متوقع ان احتمال في 30%
يعني بروفيشن
كلمة بروفيشنز يعني مخصص يعني ايه احتمال ان هو يخسر
مخصص
مخصص لان انا احتمال السبب
اليوم عايزين ديون بس
البص الديون معلومه تبعت اصلا خلاص ده انا متاكد
انما انت متوقع ان
بس مش مش هتصير بصراحه عارف لكن لا ده انت بتقول انا عندي 100 موبايل احتمال
مخصص
عندي عملاء الراجل ده بقاله 3 اشهر ما باعش فاحتمال ما يسددش واحتمال غلط فبعملها تسليم دليفري مش هنخش تكنيكال قوي لان في دلوقتي تجديد اسمه سي ال هو اساسيه متفاديه المتوقع انا لما حسيت اخش الاندستري اول ما اشوف الاندستري دي والاندستري بخش الايكونومكس الايكونومكس بتاع البلد والتاثير والزيت بتاع الانترست وما يجيش كده اطلع تسعير هو التوقع المحتمل ان انا في ده بيبقى يعني كان برضه
تقريبا عملت حب ان هو لا هو بالظبط هو انا حابب ان هو ايه هو اتعمل له هناك الكاونتر بتاعه وحصل له ادجستمنت بس لو انت جبت زياده هاجي بالظبط ومش عايز يقول لك انا جالي كاونتر هو انا مش هقول كده طبعا بس هو يعني مثلا انت كنت مع الاكس بس انا عايز اللي هو 15 بس 20,000 في جاب في الوقت دلوقتي
بسيطة جدا. يا بنتي كنت بدأت أشتري. والله نخش في بدأت أشوف الكتب تصدقي بلعب بس البيت يعني خلصت اللقطة هو إيه كنت في متأخرة لا بشرب إيه حاجات عشان مش هتظبط قعدت لغاية لما بقيت 3 أسئلة واحدة بعدين اشتغل بس جبنا كام يوم قلت لك مش فارقة ويك من ده ويك أنا بعمل كده عارفة بعمل كده وأعمل كده وأعمل كده حاجات سهلة مش لازم أمسك البيت وأعرف إن أنا فاهمة البتاع قاعد يشد العضلة ما أنا ما اشتكيش ما هو اللي اتقطع منها حتى العضلة طبعا ما انت قلتي لي مش في بالك عشان عضلة هو أصلا لا ما مش تاخد يعني يا خمسة ما يكسرش عضلة خفيفة مش فاهمة بس الحمد لله الحمد لله بس خلاص بقى حملة تفهمني عمل لعبة فيا أنزل عدد الموبايل فين الموبايل راح أجيب الموبايل كده خلاص كله كده تقل الموبايل تاني صرخ ليه حابب أقول مش هشتغل في البيت والله ما بشغلش مش عايز يشغله جوه ده مفيش ضغط الوقت أنا كتير من أعمل إيه؟ أنا بس مش عارفة ليه هي عايزة تجيلي كمان عشان تأثير المسلسل عشان تطلع تقول عني فكان هو التسبيح حتى هي عايزة أتعلم ممكن يمكن يعني بس مع أشياء بنتك تبين وفعلا البلد معي لا أنت لن في الفقر لن في الفقر مع إنه لازم أكون ولكن تعمل شيء تكون تمشي أنا متحمش ما بيفهموش عن بس عندنا البيت عادي مش خصوصا دولة سجين يعني مش حاجة بقى مصطلحات بتساعد أنت مش يعني مش أي ناس يعني بتفكر كده أنا رجعت يعني يقول أنا وقفت بابا وحنا عملت إيه مش بتوضي مش عارفة من البيت قاعدة 5 ساعات جنبي يعني مش داخلة أنا ناحية واحنا راجعين موضوع أنا عايزة أتعلم نفسي جاي معايا بنت خالي مستشفى الرأس قالت لي جاي معايا أنا بدأت أعمل إيه؟ فجاي بيت مصري بقى مشينا قلت له بابا أرجوك اركن في أي حتة مش قادرة لا مش قادرة أنا مش قادرة قعدت أقول له مش قادرة دراعي فقت جلدينش جوايا لما بتخيل نفسي مش قادرة يعني شلت ضغط على
أهمية بس كده. أنا أساسا لما بحب البشر مش بتخيل حاجة سواء أو سواء كده أنا عاملة كده وخلاص. لا أنا عاملة كده بس 5 دقايق بس. أنا بصراحة بتاع السيستم اللي مش أصلا بقى إيه ده من ده تسجيل كل منها موضوع حقيقي. خلاص بقى هو إيه نوع من شيء بايت معايا وبقيت عنده قصة هيمشي أسرع 5 دقايق. طاقة 5 دقايق بتخطف بعض. أنت إيه متقدم؟ لا مش فاهم. أوصل من الأول عم أوصل بيه تقول مش قادرة بس مش ماشي. هو إيه أنت والله يصير ماشي. لا من كل سنة من سنة السياسة
بس من هذا المنطلق هم شايفين إن الرئيس بعيد عننا. هو بعيد عننا عشان هو بعيد عننا، هو مش بس المشهور هو مش عشان هو بعيد عننا، بس هم مش عارفين يشوفوا خالص. هم قال لك إن في 87 27 مذاكرة 20 مش معروف. بس هو يعني لو تعرف لو في حاجة عندي كريت انفورميشن عنها هيقول مفيش مش هي. يعني لو في حاجة فيها كريت انفورميشن هتلاقي بيقول مش مشكلة. مستشفى بس بس عندنا مستشفى ما اكتشفتش عنه مثلا عشان اللي فيه بتاعنا ماشي. لو هي مشروع يعني 10% 10% عاصمة الحقيقة يعني كده كمان لو بقى تيجي في السينما اسمها جسم. لا لا أفضل بقرب السنة اللي مش من مستوى مش مستوى عايز يكون كويس مش عايز بصراحة مش قديم في مكان قديم سيشن ناس تانية في ناس تانية بقى زي مصطفى مش كفاية يوم محتاجين برضه زي أنا شوف مش الباكج بتاعتهم يعني مثلا تلاقي عشان استهلك ماشي سواء ولا سواء حسب أنا كنت عامل كمان يقول لك اسمه صوص اللي هم وأحسن وسام وأحسن في ورق محتاجين على مصر ده كلام يعني لو تحس الفرق بيسألني بس بحسن مش شايف بس بحس مش هو عمل 20 عايز نسيت بس مش
طبعا قصص أبطال العقل والدم دخلت عمليات وطلعت سواء الدكتور كاتب لي أصلا كده إن شاء الله سكر ما عديت مش هشيل اسمها ولا أسف بص الواحد اكتشف وانا صاحبة الكلام بس واحد من حاجات كتير يعني سبحان الله ما يدري نعم صغيرة حسيت شباب كده يعني بس فين مش خلاص بقى وقفتها مش قادرة أتم المسكرات بيها واقفة الفريتش يعني أنا حتى مع الدم خالص
Sorry, a lot of questions of my graduating senior students. All right, so when we are looking at this part of the chapter, mainly the attention is drawn to segregating into different costs depending on the managerial decision. So we clearly have to understand which costs will be relevant for me to make a decision and which ones are not relevant. So one of the relevant costs are considered something differential costs, or the cost calculations which are finding the difference between whatever is available right now to whatever is proposed. Most of the time, we're teaching our students the intro level to the two cost benefit analysis. Because according to that, every single manager, whenever they're making a decision, as easy as taking each tier, scrapping it, combining instead with another, or installing equipment into our factory versus using the old equipment. So small projects as well as more complex projects are looking at the differential cost approach whenever the decisions are being made. Again, what does mean differential? Finding the difference as easy as it is. So all of the relevant costs and compare them to the base case. Base case is usually what is happening right now. The proposed solution is something that we are thinking about changing. And the thing is that most of the time, what we should account for, that it's not only the costs that might be different because we are changing into the new ways of doing things, but the revenues might be bigger or smaller, depending on what's going to be the proposed solution. By the end of the day, the total decision is going to be made as soon as the added cost is going to be added cost is going to be less than the added benefits in order for us to make a decision. Opportunity cost is another thing that accountants usually do not consider. Why? Because it's as easy as looking at another option available at any point of time. So for instance, if I'm going to be using this equipment, another option is going to be to use another equipment, which might be having less costs related to electrical use or more time that the lamp is going to be working for me in order to consider in the long run. So opportunity cost, this is more related to managers' implications rather than accounting implications. In accounting statements, you will never see opportunity cost. But usually the managers, whenever they're making one decision versus another, they always have to consider other options, which they might be not using or not encountering due to the current situation or whatever we're dealing with right now. For instance, here, let me hold this in a different way. In this case, for instance, we are dealing with the Natural Cosmetics company, which is looking for changing its marketing method from distribution through retailers through distribution through the network. So if I'm just considering the difference between those two proposals, this is retailer distribution, the first column, which is faced by the manager at the moment. With the sales representative, they are considering that it would create more sales due to people knocking from one door to another, and as a result, ending up having more customers, and as a result, more sales. But at the same time, there will be a higher cost of goods sold, obviously, since I am selling more items. That's only expected. Advertising is going to be reduced because, according to the consideration in this example, I am facing that direct sales team is going to be requiring less advertising expenses. However, this is just in case of this example. In reality, different types of the costs might be higher or lower. We want it to be lower. That's why we are usually changing from one method to another. But it's not the must 100%. So as you can see, negative 35, it's resulting from the difference between what is happening right now to whatever is proposed. The revenue is increased by 100, the cost reduced by 35 for the fixed advertising expenses. However, the cost increase for cost of goods sold, which is normal. The commissions will be higher because nowadays we are using the distribution retailers who are not paying commissions. But obviously, if I'm going to be hiring new people, I will have to encourage them in order to knock door to door and sell my items. The warehouse has been increased due to, again, higher volume of units being sold will require more storage area whenever we're dealing with the warehouses. Other expenses didn't change, so therefore the increment about them is zero. We might as well ignore it because it didn't result in increase or decrease. Increase or decrease is something that we might be considering. So the total net operating expense, or sorry, income, after all of the ins and outs will be considered, is resulting in 15,000. What do you think? If this is my plan, will, as a manager, I accept the sales representation in comparison to the other one? Why? Yes, but by the end of the day, we do not only look at the extra point, it's also extra benefit. So the whole thing should be looking at the final bottom-up number. The new way of sales is resulting in extra net profit being generated, okay? Why this extra is important? Because if it will be only the decision that would result in increased cost, it will be correct. مثلا, if my revenues increment is going to be zero, okay, most probably you will calculate and add on and see that the net income is going to be negative with this new way of doing the thing. But because the costs increased, however, revenues decreased, okay? We are resulting, the revenues increased and the cost decreased, we are having the total item impact of 15,000 being generated extra with this new method. So unfortunately, despite a few decisions, we will go with accepting. Yes, by the end of the day, it's total picture, okay? We never look at the item by item. We look at the total impact on my income statement. Any questions?
Other expenses, does this stand for indirect fixed cost?
Any indirect fixed or variable, it doesn't really matter. Here they are considering that they do not change. Since it is 60, it means that it was fixed mainly.
Will the scrap be involved in indirect?
Scrap here is not directly considered because we are actually not, it will be inside of the cost of goods sold.
Not other expenses?
No, most of the time it's in the cost of goods sold. Because scrap is outcome of the producing and converting one item into another.
Why did he reduce?
He said that why?
No,
It's because of this he reduced. Okay? And this is, by the way, this is their calculation. And the reality, again, I might be considering this other method and I might be having advertising expenses, مثلا, being higher. Maybe in my other company, advertising expenses did not reduce, it's actually increased. Because this is just a model, yes. In order to show to you that with any decision, the manager usually estimates what's going to be happening with my revenues as well as costs by the end of the day. Okay? Question?
Can I consider here net operation income GP?
It's not really gross profit, it's a marginal net profit, and an extra net profit that would result in me shifting from one method to another.
Profit before tax.
No, this is already, yes, this profit before taxes. In
Tax even don't apply to this.
no, there is no tax applied. If it is applied, it's going to be net operating income higher, so the tax will be obviously higher, right?
Use the
This will reduce the net income in general. But again, taxes can never be higher than the net income total. So it will be parts. So if I'm having 40% on the taxable income, 40% of 160, or 40% of 175, yes, taxes will be higher, but bottom line is going to be higher as well. We are looking at the difference. I'm not looking at 15,000 result of something. It is this minus this, right? So after taxes, probably is going to be extra if it is 40%, 15 times 40, the total net income is going to be 60%.
Taxes applied to the item. Now, it's a higher cost in the sale rather than the retailer, mean the taxes will be different from the two scenarios. Could be higher in the sales. So the net income, the differential net income, less.
No, it depends what kind of taxes you are talking about. If you are talking about specific taxes that related to sales, which I do not know that many unless it's transfer taxes, something like that. However, most of the time the taxes is applied here for the rest.
In the receivable, the balance sheet, not in the revenue.
But there is no tax on the receivable.
The increasing revenue
Yes.
without taxes. The tax is related with 100 revenue extra on the balance sheet, not income statement.
The taxes related to the extra 100,000, the value of the taxes, okay. Okay, yes.
She asking if
Okay.
tax.
But even with that, you know,
تقريبا قيمة مضافة بتتحط على العملاء في البالانس شيت، ما بتتحطش على النمبر اوف يونتس مختلفة. يعني الريفينيو بيزيد ما بيزيدش مع الضريبة. الضريبة بتاعته بتبقى الاوبريتنج تاكس اللي هو الكوربريت تاكس بقى على النت ريزلت. فانت هتدفع نفس ال 22% على 160 وال 22% على 175. فهي فلات مش هتأثر معاك. يعني كده في عندك انكريس في الريفينيو فبالتالي هيبقى في انكريس في التاكس بس مش هتخسرك.
بقصد التاكسز مثلا لو في ايتمز الليبر ريتس مثلا في تاكسز على الليبر ريتس سالاريز. اوكي لو انا في حاله الريتيلر الليبر ريتس is lower than the sales.
of course.
Then the taxes to the sales will be higher than this.
Okay.
If I have the tax in the fixed asset.
True. Whatever you are saying is true. For the simplicity purposes, they have been not looking at every tax category here. But even after application of the taxes, when we are looking at the bottom line, as soon as it is positive, after but in that case, you will have to apply taxes HENA or taxes HANA, and as a result, this is only increment, right? As yes,
income, but you have to apply taxes
for every item, but it's the same tax is going to be applied HENA or HENA, so after taxes, by then we are looking only in the difference, in order to make a decision. If you are looking without taxes, we are looking at the difference. If you are looking at calculation of the taxes in every single category, so application should be across the board the same. Okay, you cannot apply taxes HANA without applying taxes HANA, right? Okay. That's true. It might be misleading and the full picture only after total taxes is considered for every single category. That's true. Mainly for the cost-benefit analysis, as this is here, total after tax impact is going to be need to be accounted for. But taxation in detail, this is not one of the topics. If we will open the book taxes, it's going to be the total semester spent only on taxes. And the beautiful way of calculating that and skipping and hiding and stuff like that. Are you tax accountants for this reason? Okay. What is sunk cost? Basically, any single cost that has been already happened, and I don't need to worry about them anymore. For example, when I'm speaking about accounting for the cost of our new building, any cost related for this building, after it was used, depreciated, I don't worry about any of that, since it's already not related to the buildings that will be opened. Okay. So most of the time, the sunk cost is not something that we are taking into our consideration. So let's see how well will you be able to identify the sunk cost in here. You are choosing in between driving or taking the train to Portland, and you have a lot of cash. I don't want to waste money. The cost of the train ticket is going to be a relevant cost or some cost. Why?
Check its opportunity cost.
Okay, we are choosing in between the two alternatives. It is opportunity cost, it's not sunk cost. So yes, it is going to be relevant. What about you making still the same decision and you're looking for the annual cost of licensing your car? Is it going to be relevant or not relevant?
Not relevant.
Not relevant, because anyways, I pay this without me traveling to Portland. So no, by the way, it will become relevant only under one consideration. If it is not your car, you're going to rent the car, and in this case, the cost of license for the car would be probably a deciding factor for you to go with it or not. However, here we are looking at the license of the car that you're already having, and looking at it as an opportunity cost is not going to be acceptable in this case. This is our sunk cost. The car could be sold now for 5,000. Is this a sunk cost? Why? It is not a sunk cost, it's a potential opportunity cost. Opportunity related revenue that you might be considering when you are making a decision between buying a new car or keeping the old one. So if I can, it is not sunk cost. Sunk cost is a cost that has been already happened before, and I don't care about it. Like, for example, you bought a car for 500,000, okay? Right now you're thinking about buying the new car or keeping the old one. 500,000 that you already spent on the car will not be relevant in this decision because you will not be able to sell it for 500,000. The price in Egypt will be higher than 500,000. In Kuwait, it would be lower than 500,000. So it depends where you are, really. But in the reality, when we are looking at the decision making, we are looking at the opportunity that exists right now. It's money in versus money out. How much will I spend today in order to buy the new car? And how much will I be able to sell this old car?
So the cost right now is higher than the cost I paid previously.
It doesn't matter. And the cost right now might be 600,000. And you may be selling this car for 400,000. In that case, most probably you will decide not to change. However, this is purely quantitative. Qualitatively, when you will be looking at maintenance costs, right, the total cost need to be considered. If you will be keeping the old car, your maintenance cost will be for the next 5 years higher than with buying the new car. For example, with the new car, it will be only 30,000 per year. With the old car, it will become 160,000 per year. So the total costs versus total benefits need to be combined in both of these calculations. Old car price is not relevant. It's only what might be other opportunities from now on.
You can say it's a cost before depreciation.
No, even that. It doesn't matter. Because you're going to be selling it, right? Whatever the cost before depreciation is all about how much another person is wishing to pay for this car, right? And how much extra savings you might be making in order to buy the new car. Because obviously,
Some cost.
time cost is not relevant at all. Like, I cannot go right now and sell my gold for masalan. Usually this is what is happening, right? Women going and reselling the gold and always negotiating with the salesperson. No, my husband bought it for me 5 years ago and the price of it was that much. It's your problem. Right now, per gram and stuff like this, I can offer for you that much. You take it or leave it. So whatever cost you already spent, it doesn't matter. Okay? So income statements from the traditional and contribution formats. This is just one of the examples. Most of the time, whatever we did see in the financial accounting was looking at the generally accepted accounting rules, the GAAP, or the IFRS, There is a little bit different things of how we will supposed to be showing our sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit, step-by-step format for the reporting purposes. So this is what we refer to traditional form. When the manager for the decision-making purposes is trying to present the same information, they are more or less interested in something that's called contribution margin, which is somehow separating variable costs across or deducting variable costs from the sales in order to see not gross profit margin, but contribution margin. How much has been earned whenever I sold the item, I counted for my variable costs, and after that, see whether I have enough in order to cover my fixed operating expenses as well as any type of the selling, general, and administrative expenses. So that's only for the purpose of internal decision making, because contribution margin per unit will be very much important for me to control for in order to make a decision, maybe to change my sales distributors, or to see the different areas where I can buy the same item for the cheaper price in order to try to have my contribution margin to be higher. Let's try to prepare. Yes.
Just a matter of technology and
yes.
Cost of goods sold is equal variable expense.
No, it's not. It's just another cost of goods sold has variable cost as well as fixed cost, right? Direct material fixed, direct material variable. However, here I'm kind of separating all of the variable costs related for these items and subtracting it from the sales.
And selling and admin expenses, fixed and variable.
Exactly, yes.
So I just separated all variables.
Yes, yes, exactly. All right, let's try to see it better on this example. Here they're having an information of the number of units sold, selling price per unit. I'm not having people online visible. Somebody have a question? Okay. So first they're asking you to prepare traditional income statements, and then they're asking you to prepare the contribution margin or contribution format of income statement. So what would you put into your income statement if it is traditional?
In the contribution margin, exactly.
Sales minus variable costs.
Combine the variables and the fixed. Sorry, traditional or contribution?
Sales units multiplied for selling price per unit. It's 5,000 multiplied.
Okay, so sales going to be how much? Number of units sold multiplied by selling price per unit. Okay, amount? 35 times 40, 1.4.
Contribution and
Let's just stop on that. We still are not in the income statement format. After that, cost of goods sold. Fin cost of goods sold. Beginning plus purchases minus ending. Okay. So it's going to be 21,000 plus 805 minus 30.
Can we do the selling price per unit times the number of units sold?
Selling price per unit, this is my aim.
Selling expense.
Variable selling, yes, it's going to be after cost of goods sold, right? Normal income statement format is having administrative and selling after profit. So it's going to be 35,000. $35,000 times 40, you can? Okay, Cokes, 21 plus 805 minus 35, okay?
66,500.
66,000. Okay, so the gross profit is going to be 1,400,000 minus 660,500. Yeah,
Calculation.
There is a mistake. 66, I believe, the wrong number.
it's not
791. 791.
thousands, right? Gross profit.
690.
609,000. Okay.
The GP is total sales minus
Yeah.
costs.
Just.
Financial.
For taxes or before your
Expense and selling and tax.
Financial accounting. Sales minus costs, gross profit. Okay, after that, we can put our, the total selling. Total selling is going to be, 45,000 plus
Total admin.
variable selling 3 times 35,000. Right? Our fixed part and our variable part of selling. Yeah?
Oh,
150.
150,000. Total administrative is going to be 28,000 plus 1 times 35 is 63,000. And now our net operating profit is going to be 609 minus 150 minus 63,000.
Total GP minus total selling and total admin.
Yes.
309. Yes.
So the income will be 300,000 and
What was that?
so after my calculations, the income will be 300,000 and 96.
Yes, correct. We also got the same number. 396,000. $396,000. Tamam? I will be putting it into the answer. It will be available inside of the PowerPoint.
بس يعني the board will remind me with
Okay.
what we said with the same statement.
Let me. All right. This is our normal income statement format. Any problems with that? So if I will ask you to prepare the normal income statement format, you will be able to? What is the problem?
no problem.
No problem. which steps might not be coming across normal.
Just need more practice.
Yes,
That's it.
if the items are listed clearly, then there's no problem. But if you give us complicated,
Oh, it was so very complicated.
هو very complicated ايه complicated على الشيء ده يعني
الشيء ده
Not 100%
Now,
financial.
what the heck with?
Yes, there will be no quizzes خلاص.
No,
You have been a bit late, so I already announced that there will be only 3 assignments. Okay, and today you'll have your first one.
when the assignment is coming.
لا ما فيش quiz. Normally I would ask this to be a short quiz, but all right. So contribution margin format. When we are looking at it, the whole difference here is that sales still going to be the same. ما فيش مشكلة هنا. But in addition to whatever is not done in the normal income statement format, we are basically taking variable costs. And variable costs are coming from multiple sources. One of them is definitely related to cost of goods sold, because cost of goods sold is the direct items which we are using in order to sell those to our customers. Remember, beginning inventory, this is whatever we already purchased. Purchases, this is whatever has been happening in the process. And ending inventory is already accounting for something that we're going to be selling to our people. Selling expenses, only variable is taken care here. Administrative, only variable have been taken care here. So that's why I like this example more, because it might give to you the previous slides, introducing the difference between the traditional as well as this method, is kind of blindly putting there as variable expenses. No, variable expenses might be having different sources. You need to know from where to take them. Cost is definitely one of the sources of the variable expenses. And after that, all of the remaining fixed expenses that are there, selling and general, is subtracted from the contribution margin. Again, for the manager perspective, he will be very interested to know to which extent that amount is enough in order to cover our fixed costs related to my operation. Okay? Question. All what you need to remember is just sales minus variable cost. Okay.
Even guide the managers who the number of units more profitable.
Yes. Which number of units need to be produced in order to increase my contribution margin? Yes. More or less like for break-even analysis and so on afterwards.
Which number of units? Well, how many number of units?
What is the number of units? Not which number of units is the same as how many units is.
If I have more different variety of items, maybe I need to sell a certain item more than the
Yeah,
other.
for this reason in here, we will be going into, if it is which, I will be analyzing that from the perspective of every single item. And then I will be going variable expenses for the item A, variable expenses for item B, variable expenses for item C. So the more detail in presentation, the more analysis will be necessary to make which one to keep producing, which one to discontinue producing in order to increase my contribution margin. Okay?
المفروض الفورمولا دي تستعمل بير برودكت بالتايب برودكت
Yes.
more
More accurate, yes.
عندي كان كورس ترابيزه عشان
لو عندك سمول بزنس فعلا عندك يعني مش كومباني ليفل او مش كوربريت ليفل، لو عندك سمول بزنس اللي سيلينج ايتمز.
But this is what is done for every single item, especially if you are having the proper inventory accounting method. By the way, you by yourself are answering your question why digitalization is important. You cannot imagine doing this kind of analysis if everything is written by hands. For every single item, for you to answer the question which one to continue, which one to not, you have to constantly on the daily basis have a track record of that. Otherwise, we will not be able to make such a decision.
I totally agree, but يعني again, I'm focused on small businesses.
Yeah, I have a restaurant, small restaurant. I provide sandwiches and meals. How many sandwiches restaurant or how many meals per person? I have the same
Report.
For each part, yes. I agree.
الكونتريبيوشن اللي جوه الميل غير الكونتريبيوشن جوه الساندوتش. يعني هتعملي مثلا let's say مثلا ميكس جبن هتحطيه في
And I will tell you. I will tell to you that in your small restaurant, probably the juices is the biggest contribution to your restaurant. It's not anything else, right? Yes. All right, so that's pretty much end of this chapter. I want you to open your the activity that I sent you, the file. It's not in the Moodle, it's was sent to you today. Yes, on the email. I use the email that you gave to me or you provided to Maha.
It's an exercise.
It's an exercise. Huh? Yes, it's right now. It's not a quiz. Let me, do you want me to open it?
So any class.
Yes. In class exercise for the lecture 1 and after this. Okay, I'm opening it. All right, so this is whatever is given to us as the beginning, and we are having number of the questions. There are 15 questions, I believe. I will be putting you into the groups of completing question 1 and 2, question 3 and 4. So question 1 and 2, question 3 and 4, question 5 and 6. Some of them are easier than others. 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Okay. 9 and 10, and 11 and 12.
For online, doctor.
Yes, for the online. For the online. Okay, so Ahmed, Mohammed, and Aya Amin. If you will be looking also on 1 and 2, we will check based on your colleagues here in class. Let's make a competition. Who is going to be doing a better job? They are somehow and somehow no.
So if I want to answer 6 and 7, do I have to know the answer of 1, 2?
No, not necessarily. You will be using the same information as from the beginning. Ahmed, Mohammed, Amr, and Taya, question 1 and 2, tamam? if you can please put the thumbs up if you heard
Okay.
Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mr. Baha and Mr. Basim, or no, Mr. Basim is in class. Mr. Baha and Mr. Isa, question 3 and 4. Tamam? They are both on hold.
Exercise?
Yes, in class exercise. Mr. Baha is on hold. Mr. Isa, are you with us?
Yes, doctor, yes. Where is the questions?
Questions are, I sent it to you over the email. It's called in class.
And I have sent them in the chat also.
You send them in the web?
In the Teams chat, in the lectures Teams chat.
Okay, thank you very much. So Mr. Isa and Miss Fatma, question 3 and 4. Mr. Hazem and Mr. Muhammad. Okay, Mr. Hazem Umran and Mr. Muhammad Al-Munsif, question 5 and 6. Tamam? Mr. Muhammad Darwish and Mr. Omar Khalid, question 6 and 7. And Miss Yumna, I would say question 8 and 9, but you will be working by yourself.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Here are the questions. Those of you who do not questions, but it's first of all, it's asking us the total product cost to make 10,000 units and total period cost. So the difference between the two is the first one is asking product cost, the second one period cost. Okay, this is your questions. So in your case, it's the variable cost, changing number of the units. Three, 5, 6, 7. What will happen when you writing it by yourself in the exam? So shall I give you the 2%? You answer by yourself?
دكتور
Yes.
محمد درويش and عمر خالد number 6 and 7.
Just a second. I was looking at.
Need to send it a doctor or what?
To whom? To whom are you asking?
محمد درويش and عمر خالد.
I don't remember.
I think, doctor, they are the ones who are previous than me, and my questions are 8 and 9. I think they will be 6 and 7.
6 and 7, yes. Thank you, Yomna.
Thank you, doctor.
Welcome.
Thank you, Yomna.
Doctor, we need to send it or what?
Yeah, you can send it to me through the WhatsApp as a group, and we will compare it to people here in class.
Okay.
Yes. 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 Speaking about variables listing. Yeah, this was directly. Your question 6. Okay. In your case, it is yes.
عشان انت لازم الحاجة التانية اللي فايدة كانت لو انا موجود انا مش موجود بس هو فعلا اللي اليونتس بقى لو بقى فانا بس المنافات الفيروس
خلاص everybody finished. All right, so please, what's your way of thinking? What is your way of thinking? Did you guys online send me what is your answers?
Yes, doctor.
Who did? I.
Yumna.
Yours was 1 and 2, right? Okay, different answers for the two different groups, but this is supposed to be your way of thinking. Both of you answered it correctly for question 1. I want everybody's attention, please. The first one was asking for total product cost. If you remember, the total product cost includes what? Direct material, direct labor. And this is wherever we are taking direct material, direct labor, we are taking also our variable manufacturing overheads and multiplying it by number of the products, which is we produce 10,000. We are going and counting for the fixed manufacturing overhead as well. So it's a direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead, fixed manufacturing overhead. All of that is supposed to result in 150,000. Most of the groups did it correctly. Now, the second one was, any questions here? No questions, it's just in more detail. If I would be answering this in the exam, I probably will do it in just one line, right? Multiplying the items by each other. So I wouldn't spend the time of doing this in the two different lines. I'll just write it in one line. The second one was question about period cost, which is including what? Period cost. Selling, general, and administrative expenses, which is related to the production. So if you did it correctly, you're supposed to end up having 65,000. Okay, what was wrong with you guys online? You answered 63,000. What is 65,000?
65.
65, just your, okay, yeah, 65,000. So when we're looking at the variable expenses, we will have to take our general and administrative. This is very easily detectable, putting them all together, selling and variable and fixed, administrative, variable and fixed, and calculating the answer. Questions here? No questions. Will anybody be able to do that? If it is an exam question? I think on the exam it will be requiring 2 minutes only. Per question. Per question. No, per question. All right. Thank you very much. Team number 1, team number 2. Your question was asking you for what? Per unit. Okay. Where is the group number 2? Group number 2, 3, and 4. No, somebody was doing it online. Who was doing it online? I don't see who is doing it online. But question 3 and 4. Was to find out what is the total variable cost per unit whenever the number of items produces 8,500. And the second question was asking when the number of items is 10,000 or something, 12,000. The thing is where the confusion part might be, yes, it's variable. So it might look like we need to do some kind of calculation in regards of multiplying by the number of units. But because the question is asking per unit cost, the answer is going to be exactly the same for question 3 as well as question 4. If it is total, and this was your question, when it is total, then we will be calculating it according to number of units produced. However, with our variable cost, we're taking care of our direct material, direct labor, together with the sales and general costs related in order to find out per unit. In our case, it's already given per unit. So it's all about adding them together. Any question, Hannah? Please don't be confused. Total is different than per unit. The second group, yes.
Big confusion for direct labor.
Yes.
Exactly. But we calculated all of them without direct labor.
Direct
labor
is related to the
variable.
yes. They're related to the variable cost, because what is direct labor? If you are working and producing this item that I'm paying for you per hour, the more items you will produce, the more salary I'm going to be paying for you, right? So the direct labor cost here is very variable, sensitive to the amount of.
We know that the direct labor will be fixed at the.
No. It will be utilized. Salaries will be fixed. You will be set. You will be told about. But as soon as you are seeing direct labor, and especially per unit, it means that it's automatically variable. Okay. All right. So what calculation did you do in addition to that?
We calculated it without the direct labor.
Okay. Tamam.
We missed because we used about direct labor. It's by the.
It's variable or it's fixed. Okay.
So that's
Consider it all the time fixed. As soon as I'm giving you direct labor. Yes. Exactly. What?
Minus.
Yes, I know, but what would you do differently in this calculation?
We multiply
We'll multiply variable cost by number of units, and we'll be multiplying here the same variable cost per unit by the new number of units, 12,000. Huh?
Yeah.
So your answer is supposed to be 12,500 multiplied by 8,500, and 12,5 multiplied by 12,000. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Question 7 and 8.
You agree direct labor is fixed?
Yes, direct labor is fixed here, yes. No, not fixed, sorry, variable. It's variable cost. Okay? Total.
Right?
We are in number 7 and 8. 5 and 6 was asking you the question, what is the total variable cost whenever the 8,500 produced?
Or in
12,000 is produced.
Yeah, so I take this number and
Multiply by 8,500. Right? You included direct labor into your variable cost? Okay. So you didn't do the same mistake as that one. 7 and 8.
Okay, so I will answer number 7. The question was about fixed manufacturing overhead or indirect cost.
Okay.
When the production is 8,000 units.
Okay.
So we multiplied all the numbers by a factor of 2.8.
Okay.
We got right factor or number. And then we took only the fixed manufacturing overhead, which should be 3.2. 4 times 4.8 is 3.2.
Just a second, let me just open. So in your case of 7 and 8, they were asking you what is the fixed manufacturing cost per unit produced if there is 8,000 units being produced. So when we're dealing with the fixed manufacturing overheads, right? which is 4 per unit, right? And what did you do with it?
Multiplied by 0.8.
Okay, or by 8,000 units, or again multiplied by 12.5 or 12,500 units, whenever it's, because this is already per unit, right? Very easy calculations, and I ask you to do 11 and 14 and 15.
Then you just plotted the.
Yeah, explain. You didn't do the 14 and 15. Okay, so 9 and 10. No, 7 and 8, 9 and 10. Yes.
9, it's 72,000. Fixed amount for 8,000.
Total fixed manufacturing cost to support this level of production if 8 units will be. Okay.
8,000 units, 72,000.
Okay.
1,200, 112,500.
But the total cost is, the fixed cost is the same for the same range.
True, because we are dealing here with not exceeding our 7,500 to 12,500. As soon as there will be more number of the units, we definitely will change our assumption of the fixed cost, right? So the catch here, why we are, yes, it's per unit, but only within this range. You will need to get another information as soon as it's going to be more. Yes. So here I know that fixed manufacturing overhead 4. Exactly. I know that fixed administrating is 2. So it's going to be 4 plus 2 multiplied by the number of the units, 8,000, and multiplied by 12,500. So what's the difference between their question and your question? In their case, they only asked about manufacturing overhead fixed, and here we are asked about total fixed cost, which is including variable as well as fixed. And 11 and 12. If 8,000 units is produced, what is total manufacturing cost incurred to support the level of production? What is this total amount expressed on the per unit basis?
Take the online answer first.
Why? It's not in the who wants to be a leader.
Access to the model.
I will give to you, yes. Because it is inside, inside of the presentation. Inside of presentation, yes, I send you the original presentation.
So it's already inside include. We have.
I will, no, you don't. You have the original presentation.
Thank
Thank you, sorry, this is 6 and 7. Mr. Mohammed Darwish. Nobody did it on Moodle.
And we had a confusion how to calculate the total manufacturing overhead at first place. And we thought it should include all variables. And then when we searched on it, it said in here total manufacturing variable plus fixed, not all variables.
All right, so in your case, you're asked about the manufacturing overheads.
The total manufacturing
total cost. We will be taking variable overhead cost. Number of units produced multiplied together is going to be total variable overhead. You are asked about the total manufacturing overhead, which includes variable manufacturing overhead and fixed. Okay, what is variable is per unit, 1.5. Yes, in our case, the first one is asking for 8,000 units.
1.5 is the variable only.
Per unit. Per unit.
And here 1.5 is per unit.
Yes, so you have to multiply by 8,000 in order to know what is the total variable cost
for the whole amount. Should I not add the value fixed per unit first and then multiply it by divided by the total units?
Total fixed cost will be also multiplied by the number of units.
I mean, why should I deal with them separately, variable and fixed?
I can
to add them.
You can put them if it is given to you per unit. In this case, you can do that. You can add 1.5 plus whatever is the fixed multiplied by total number of units, yes. The reason why I'm putting it to you here is that most of the time, we do not have it per unit. We have the fixed cost as the total amount. So what am I going to do? Most of the time, this is the number that would be given to me. Okay, so what I will be doing, I will be taking my per unit multiplied by 8,000 plus 40,000. Tamam? Did you get by the end of the day 52,000? Yes. So where did you do it wrong? Yeah, the fixed is 4. Okay.
So the total is
Okay. Yes.
I have 8,000 worth of,
No, 8,000 first. No, there is fixed overheads is given to you as in the question 1.
the picture. Fixed manufacturing overhead is $4. And the variable manufacturing overhead is 1.5.
The
Variable manufacturing.
fixed manufacturing overhead for and your number of units produced was 10,000, right?
And the variable manufacturing overhead, the third one is
But
1.5.
the fixed one we are considering, this one is for 10,000 units.
Yes.
8,000 does not matter for us for the fixed one. Because the question by itself, it tells to you what, open the file from the beginning. What does it tell to you? This is given for 10,000 units.
Yes, it's average cost.
So average cost for 10,000 units, meaning that
Well, if I did it by
you multiply by 10,000 to get your fixed cost, and it is operating under the condition of 10,000 units. What is fixed cost? Fixed cost is being fixed for a certain number of units being produced. Here they are fixing it, the fixed per 10,000 units.
Yes.
Okay, so as soon as I'm dealing with 8,000 units, I'm dealing with 9,000 units, it will not change. Yes.
It will not be 1.5 or 4, because this is for the 10,000.
It's fixed. I'm fixed.
That's fixed in general, not for the 10,000.
Whenever I'm putting my fixed cost, here they are calculating per the 10,000. But when it is fixed, it really doesn't matter. You produce 1,000 units, or you produce 2,000 units, or you produce 1, it will be fixed, that's what. Okay? The fact that they are calculating the average, yes. So the fact that they are estimating average and stuff like this is just for the accounting, so consideration purpose. But when I'm dealing with the fixed cost, it will be fixed.
The fixed one, I'll multiply by 8,000, but the variable, I will divide by 10 first and then.
No, variable you will multiply by 8,000. But fixed, you will take it as 40,000. So it's going to 1.4 times 8,000. With the new number of the units, but the fixed will not change unless it is not exceeding a certain number of units. Okay, and here they are saying to you, unless it's exceeding 12,500. When it will exceed 12,000,
which is the variance of the company.
yes, which is the range established by the company.
I'll start calculating and you fix.
Yes.
Multiplied by the number of.
No, fixed will not be multiplied by the number of units. Usually I will tell you, from this to this, my average fixed cost is that much. So as soon as this number is not exceeded, I will not change my fixed cost. I will use the same fixed cost for lower number of units up to this range. Okay?
Provided first clear.
Yes, end of the question. Nobody sees it, yes. In the beginning of the question, this is the thing. Range from 7,000 units to 12,000 units. We are fixing our cost. Okay? The averages are calculated based on that fixed cost assumption. What does it tell to you when you're predicting? If the number of the units produced less than 7,500, you will have to take a different fixed cost. Most probably, they will be giving to you. Average fixed cost per unit from this range to this range is like this. Average fixed cost from this range to this range is like that. So for you, it actually doesn't matter where in between this range is the number of units. You will be just taking average per the mid-range. Okay?
For fixed.
For fixed cost, yes, only for fixed cost. Tamam? If you look into the from 7,500 to 12,500, 10,000 is in the middle exactly. That's why they are telling to you this is averages calculated for the middle range. Okay? So 10,000 is not just a random number which is given to you in the beginning. It is the mid-range in between that which the fixed cost is considered to be fixed. Tamam? So as the result, our per unit total manufacturing overhead is going to be slightly different if you will fix the fixed and deal only with variable cost influenced by the number of units. Okay? Because otherwise, if you think about it, if I'm asking a manufacturing overhead per unit, it's nothing to do in your logic. I'll just take 1.5 plus 4. ما فيش مشكلة صح؟ But why? And this is where we remember we were stating what as number of units increasing, total cost for variable is increasing. As number of units is increasing, the fixed cost per unit is decreasing. So the range that was given to us at $4 per 10,000 units is going to be lower. You'll find out. The second question, yes, as the units will increase. Okay, that's why the first question is asking you for 8,000, and the second one is asking for 12,500. So you'll find out that the manufacturing overhead per unit will be low. Question 11, question 12 is going to be the same calculation, but here we are going to be doing what? 1.5 times 12,500, so, plus still 40,000 divided by 12,500. Okay, so let me just correct it. What would be different in that question? Well, it's going to be 1.5 times 12,500 plus 20,000. Can that? Okay. لا مش 12,500. Are you sure? 58,750. So now per unit is going to be 58,750 divided by 12,500. How much? 4.73. 8.73. Here it was 6.5. It will be only expected that it will be reduced.
1.5 by good or by 2?
By 12,500. This is here, it is one question. This is question 12. In the question 11, they're asking for 8,000 units. In the question 12, they're asking for 12,500. Okay? All right, question 14 and 15 was asking you for what? 13 and 14. They're asking you contribution margin, and they were asking you for indirect manufacturing cost. So when we're dealing with the contribution margin, if you remember, it is as easy as sales minus the variable cost. So sales price per unit 22, it was given for us, and the variable cost per unit is given for us. So that minus that is going to give to us contribution margin per unit being produced. And after that, when we are looking at all of the different types of the cost related, direct manufacturing cost, indirect manufacturing cost, here we are taking direct manufacturing cost, direct material, direct labor per unit is going to be 9.5, direct manufacturing cost and the unit of produce together will result in the total direct cost 104. Indirect cost, variable cost of overhead and total variable cost is calculated just by multiplying that, and fixed cost is going to be 40 across the board. We do not need to calculate it again, simply because the number of units is going to be 11,000. Why? Because we are not exceeding the range of 12,500. So the total indirect manufacturing cost is going to be 56,500. The last question was asking you, this is question 13 and 14. The last question was asking you, what is the incremental cost if it will increase its production from 10,000 to 10,001? Or what do I need to do? I do not need to calculate the 10,000 cost, 10,001 cost. Incremental, it means what would be extra if I will produce one more unit? As no, there is per unit cost. It's as easy as per unit cost. Direct material cost per unit, direct labor cost per unit, variable overhead cost per unit. I will know the total per one extra unit. So please do not be misled with the question asking you increment. What does it mean extra? If you're already given per unit, there is no need for calculating first for the 10,000 and then 10,001. No, I just per unit I will have them together. Okay? So increments is not something that should be dangerously looking.
What is out of the range?
If it is out, you will have additional consideration for the fixed cost. They're supposed to be telling to you, most probably the assumption is going to be that once it will be increasing from 10,000 for another, what was the range? 7,500 to 2,000, it's going to be 5,000, right? For another 50, from 10,000 to 15,000. So from 10,000, 10,1 to 15,000, probably your fixed cost is going to be 80,000. Because from 7,500 to 12,500, it was 40,000. Okay, so the mid-range is going to be usually repeated unless they will tell you something else. Okay, in the real life, in a lot of cases, it is something else. You know, Masalan, you can only imagine if I'm going to open the company here in Egypt, my fixed cost will be Egyptian fixed cost for this company. If I'm trying and opening it right now in Morocco, the fixed cost will be completely different. I cannot just assume that it's going to be just double whatever I'm having here. Yeah? So it's just going to be another consideration to be taken. We can start chapter 2, but 20 minutes is not enough for us to even have the
Can have a small intro, and just a script of the chapter. It's all about
job order processing. Again, you already have it. I already sent you the PowerPoint without any increment. Mostly what we will be looking at, how the company is dealing with recording and communicating the pieces of information from one department to another to finally assign the direct cost, indirect cost for the items. So what you will find out in our case here, what we were taking for granted, the overheads, right? Most of the time here in this kind of questions, you were seeing that it's kind of given to you. Chapter 2 is going to let you to learn how to assign, because if you think about it, it's a very big pain for the managers to assign the proper overhead code. What does the companies usually do? The easiest way for that is to look into the history, calculate how much it was on average per one unit, and just to continue applying it in the same manner in the future. There are two problems with that. History not always repeats itself. Sometimes the costs are actually changing. For instance, we know that if I'm going to be assuming some certain electricity cost and assigning it based on the last year, it's going to be completely different cost. So as the result, I might be overestimating or underestimating when I'm using this method. So more better companies, they are linking different variable costs for different types of the jobs. That's why the whole chapter 2 is called job order pricing. When I'm having the track records, looking at different types of the departments, using some certain different inputs, tracking it and assuming it separately for different departments, whichever is using technology, whichever is using labor, whichever is using something else. So the whole job order pricing is going to be for me to walk with you through the whole process. I hope that is going to be, it's less calculations, it's more of letting you to see how the information is transferred from one department to another, for me to accurately assign the costs for the accounting department. Okay.
Assigning overhead, you mean assigning budget to a certain department?
No,
that
here I use space the year. No, it's an actual cost. It's an actual cost. It's not a budget here. Budget, we will be assuming something based
So
on
I'm
the history.
assuming what they will, the cost that they will incur next year, depending
No.
on.
No.
Running,
For example, right now,
keep running.
Of how much they're reporting. Why should you?
no, just a second. Report comes based on inputs. Nobody's putting for you the report like that. Whatever you see as a report, it's a work of a lot of departments combining the pieces of the information. For me, yes, but some of the costs are assumed. This is the thing. I know exactly how many, electricity is used per 40,000 labor hours. I'm assuming based on my previous experience. I cannot know about it 100% now. Why? Because only the actual information will come in the end of the year. It will be too late for me to deal with it. He is the manager of the department. He has to allocate different types of the costs right now for this job. I'm having a job of making this chair. For this chair, I know the labor cost, no problem. I know material cost, no problem. I do not know overhead. From where am I going to go get overhead? Stand and count. Waste of time. Wait until the year. Too late. I have to make such a decision right now. So most of the time, we know how much it was previously electricity used per number of hours that has been used for this year. Something divided by something will give to me estimated allocation of the cost depending on the number of labor hours used. So I'm assuming for some of the items. Is it 100% correct? Of course, no. But it's better of the two evils than to go without knowing something and then to realize, oh my God, my cost. Because at least whenever I'm assuming something, I can control for it. Okay? Instead of just letting it to be unobserved. Okay, that's chapter 2, introduction. If you want, I can start and finish it. And if we can start another start, I'll finish it. Start from the week, we will start when to finish it then. But it means that during our lecture, I will already start and finish it. The two cases, small ones, the first one is related to chapter 1. Again, I tried not to overwhelm you. It's the same way as we were just solving some of the problems today. And the second one is based on chapter 2. So since I am giving to you right now only chapter 1, I will concentrate you on case 1 to be submitted next Sunday. Okay. If we will be done with the chapter 2, probably case 2, you will have a little bit longer days. So they both will be resulting in 10 marks. Yes, yes. Okay.
So case one, that was sent in May.
Case 1 was already sent today.
Okay.
There are 2 cases.
Submitted tomorrow.
No, not tomorrow. Case 1, it will be next Saturday. Since I'm giving to you a week, that means that case 2, if I will find that it will be a need, okay? I will ask you to submit it probably next Monday. And after a week, okay? I will give you a couple of days. Tamam? How am I going to record attendance in class? Yes, yes, it's different. It's a case is going in this class exercise. There is a case for the whole. Okay, you will see case 1 and case 2. We will now concentrate on the case 2. I think it's better for me because WhatsApp I can see this. No, WhatsApp there is no board. Yes, yes, yes. The thing is that yeah, since I do not know all of you, I don't know really who is writing down. I know that the attendance online is recorded. I'm just going to. It's just to write your name and ID and not more than that. أنا آسفة. If I would have Moodle, I will just record it automatically. But do you guys have Moodle?
Yes, but
Not looking yet.
the course is not active yet.
I don't have even the course in my Moodle. Do you?
Like 4 courses.
Why?
The Moodle is working, but.
Administrative issue.
I think I know which kind of administrative.
Same as the office, same as the Word and the.
Yes, maybe. All right, يا جماعة online. Are there any questions?
Thank you, doctor.
No, yeah, doctor, thank you.
So everybody is on the same page, right? In regards of case study 1, which is inside of your document in class activities. Case study 1 is due next Sunday. Hold on with the case study 2. I may either ask you to submit it the Monday after, or I might just consider that assignment 1 is just this one case study for the chapter 1. Okay?
Is the case existing in the module right now?
The case is inside of the document that I sent today called in-class activity. If you look further, you'll find that case study.
Yes. Okay.
So we can send it
So
on email.
the due date is
Sunday. Upcoming Saturday, next week.
okay. Thank you.
Okay?
And we need to send it by email.
You will need to send it to me, submit it through the email, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, doctor, thank you.
Second case study, do not pay attention to that yet. I will announce on our online session on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Because case study 2 related to chapter 2, which we still did not have.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I will send you again chapter 1 presentation. It has activities that we did for your reference.
Yes.
Because the one that I sent you was the basic one. Tamam?
Yes. Tamam, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your participation, ya jama'a, and in the personal messages, you can send me some feedback if there is still some concerns, tamam?
Tamam.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.